Hey, everybody, and welcome to Conscious Talk TV. And I'm your host, Linda Summers. And our show tonight is with Rick Jewers, Divine Being of High Order. And the title is Update on Energy and Global Situation. Hey, Rick. How are you?
I'm great, Linda. Thank you so much for being here again. And yeah,
Uh,
it keeps getting better and better.
you're
It
welcome.
does.
Always a pleasure. And thank you, everybody, for joining who's here. We appreciate you. And we might be doing Q&A at the end. We'll see how much time we have. And as always, if you guys can just post one question at a time so we can get those and the feed doesn't go down. So anyway, awesome. All right, let's rock and roll.
Yeah. Nice feather.
What? Oh, where did you find that? Just now?
No, it's laying here on the table. Yeah, Danny might have placed it there earlier, or it might have
Oh,
fallen to me.
it might have fell down from the heavens instead of pennies from heavens. You're getting feathers from heavens. The
Yeah,
heavens. I like that.
lots of reports of feathers again, well, not, several reports. And but when I see several reports, I know it's more prevalent throughout the collective, right? We only,
Yeah.
there's so many that are advancing at this time, and all one really needs is a small picture of the collective to have the overview. And this is so true. Like, if you like, you might have 10 friends and 3 of them are seeing feathers. But
Yeah.
if you go and do your research, you'll see in the rest of the collective, you'll see it popping up everywhere because it's a common theme as
Yeah.
well. So it's, yeah.
Just like the
See,
ships.
yeah, you can gauge from a few, that are strong in the collective. You can gauge what's happening usually from a few as well.
Yeah. I love that. So so then let's start with the whole thing on said you had some confirmed cases on the crystals.
Okay, well, yes. First, I will share the other day. Um, I was speaking with what happened the other day. My own crystal, I went to take it from a location to put it in my pocket, and I heard what was like a chirp. I said that come from the crystal, but I held my crystal up and I looked at it, and nothing had changed in it. But I was speaking with Sharon Piccola, um, I believe, just a few hours later that day, and she just brought up that she thought she heard a chirp or something from her crystal. So I said, okay, what time? And it was roughly around the same time. So there were 2 of us that heard like a chirp. We don't see any activity in these 2, but also a great divine comrade of mine, Colleen, as well. In the, I believe, about the last week, um, and just recently, last night, so in about a week, I believe she said 3 times she has her crystals out in her living room in a little heart-shaped open uh, little basket, and she has her comrade dog tag in there. What had passed, her comrade Colby had passed a few years ago, so she keeps the dog tag in there. And I had placed on her heart-shaped basket 2 crystals I had given her a while ago, one in each corner, with the Colby's dog tag in the center. And so just recently, so I believe 3 nights out of about 7, out in her living room, she could hear like a chirping kind of a noise as well, and a rattling. And the rattling, I believe, just the other day, one of the crystals had moved, and she had went out, and I looked today, it had moved probably about that far, and it's no way it would have rolled or any
No.
movement, but it had
Yeah.
moved itself, and it was laying right on top of Colby's dog tag. So what we're seeing is some movement, and we are seeing some chirping in things. And
Awesome.
yeah, so I believe so those three cases, but I believe there's more, and I'm just trying to think where they're at. They just escape me now, but enough to know that there is activity going on specifically with the crystals. So
Yeah.
what we're seeing is more of a movement, and you can say that yes, they are advancing and will come to life for certain ones as well. So that is very beautiful in that respect.
Yes, I
And
love that. And you think that's due to the energies that
uh,
we're in right now?
yeah, well, what's going to occur again? It's the keep it in the high vibratory state, the high vibration, and do whatever you can, right? Because then when you do keep in that high vibratory state, you're on another timeline where this magic is prevalent, but you're not restricted to this timeline. You can raise up higher where more magic is real, like with Sonya again, and with the
Yeah.
diamonds, and a lot more of your synchronicities, and
Mm.
just so much more is up here in the higher realms. And again,
Yeah.
the key to get up here is that you have the best thing to do is just to be all love, have no
Mm.
negative or fear reactions or actions, just be a calm state. And also uh, with your physical vessel, everyone knows the foods they've been shown what to avoid, the chemicals, and keep your physical vessel as pure as you can with it. Pure water, and and keep your foods as organic as you can. No processed foods if you can. Each one only does their best, but the more that you are able to keep your diet rate clean, the better it is for you, and it's more easier to sustain a high vibration where you're up into a lot of the magic, and then you keep strengthening. So it's good to get yourself up there, because then you get more knowledge, uh, more gifts get turned on, and more strengths. And then you may dip down, because you do divine work in the 4D. But the thing is that if you dip down and you remember what you were taught, you can quickly get yourself back up here so you don't get stuck down here for a while as
Yeah.
well. And,
Yeah.
yeah, so.
Stay in the high vibes, eradicate the fear.
Yeah, and
Right?
keep connected with others. If you start feeling a little bit down, if some negative things are happening around you, do not jump to negative conclusions. Do not have preconceived notions. Just observe, be in your now, and just if any negativity in these sort of things are occurring, it is best just to move slow and don't react to any of it, and don't energize negative things by thinking about them. Switch your mentality to the positive side. Just note them, remain neutral. And if you're in the lower vibration that, more of this negativity and things are occurring, then reach out to your higher consciousness friends as well. And both of you together can strengthen each other, and then you slowly raise up as well. The unity is very important, and to keep connected to the higher consciousness ones, it does assist as well. Now there are just um, so many things occurring at once, that there are different situations that different remedies, if you will, apply. But by knowing the basics, at least you're able to navigate and maneuver your way to get back up by doing the essentials. The key is the vibration of your vessel. And everyone's been showing the good things to raise vibration, and they've all been showing the things that lower the vibration. So it becomes an individual choice with that, and each one is responsible for their own vibration. They need to know this. They need to know about the foods. They need to know about love and keeping their vibration highest, and by practicing virtue. And many are tested with all of these, but it's so important that you understand the importance of this. Everyone is in your own judgment days where you judge where you go. God does not judge. You judge yourself by your actions and your reactions and how you treat others, and your state of being and your vibration. So you have the liberty at this time with the Ascension to go into higher dimensions, higher realms, and explore more of the harmonious magic. You don't need to stay in the chaotic, mundane 4D. Everyone watching this, you have the opportunity to raise, and it's so important that each is responsible for doing that for themselves.
Yeah. And I think we know really when we're feeling that, like things are happening to me, right? Like things are surfacing. We know that. And if we know that, right, we're conscious of it, then we can, in that moment, shift that and just know that that's not where I want to go, because that's where I'm staying in that 4D, as opposed to, turning on some good music, going for a walk, doing something that's going to really shift you out of that.
Exactly. Like, the key is that as humans, we used to react from adrenaline, just a conditioned reflex or response to what would occur around us. If someone said something mean to you, you'd automatically just, be mean at them because they were actually controlling you to do that. So what's occurring with this? We are doing the opposite, that you are able to control the fear or the anger from someone that was yelling at you, for it not to have any effect on you. Right. And what you will find when you do not disempower yourself or degrade yourself or lower yourself to that level, that they have no basis for whatever they are doing, and they will, just fade away, and they cannot stay in the light. They will try to certain ones that, let's say before, you'd be given a very extensive test, but everything needs to be looked at that it is test. So what you do is you just stop. And what's that song? Stop, look around. What's that sound? Listen.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that
what's
cool
going
song.
on? Yeah.
Yeah. What's the name of that? I love it too, but it's so perfect. So yeah, someone starts cussing at you, just stop, okay, and think. Yeah, just don't react. Say, okay, they're cussing at me, and give them a kiss, or just do not let them control how you will act or react, and then it changes everything.
Yeah. I think that saying, which I don't really care for it, but kindness kills, it's kind of like there's no point in engaging in this, right? And so the more that we can be kind, it could shift them, and maybe it won't. But something you brought up, I thought was a good point that I wrote down was, do you find that, I think this is actually probably true, that since we're, ascending and we're advancing quite rapidly, that there is going to be a lot more things that are going to surface, like you were saying, that we're going to be tested. So there's a lot more things that are coming up to the surface, because as ascends, we are part of that. So we are going to bring, this is my interpretation, bring things to the surface to take a look at and go, oh, wow, okay, this is something that I need to look at. So somebody on the outside could be mirroring that back to me, right? And I may not know it in that moment, but then realize, oh, wait a minute. Yeah. That's where I think it's really good to stop and go, okay, this is something that I need to look at, or, and really shift that and go, wow, and have the gratitude for it.
You're absolutely correct with that, Linda.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, we are moving so rapidly. Moving, I mean, we're ascending so much higher because so many are doing their inner work. They are listening. They know what they need to do, and that is causing a huge upward, constant shift marginally. And
Yeah.
and during the course of that, anything that does not serve, as you're saying, you know, if you have arrogance within you, you will come across someone that has that or that mirror. So you can identify that and change it
Yeah.
and not let that control you. Same as with impatience, you
Yeah.
will be subjected and tested with these so that you can, you know, take your moments and overcome it and not
Yeah.
act in that same manner to master it. Indeed.
Yeah.
And you know, it goes much deeper than that, especially for ones newly awakened. Any
Yeah.
of their deepest fears, they'll be subjected to replicas of it once again,
Mm.
and they will be cyclical if they do not uh, if they do not, let's say, you know, change the way with these deepest spheres how they approach them and learn about them, they'll stay in a loop. But once they change it a little bit, then the spiral starts upward, and each time they are faced with a fear that is similar, they have learnt more. So then
Mm.
gradually, you know, with many, but it can happen very quickly. They learn it, then they master it, and that's what you call mastering, when their deepest fear does not any longer have any control over them, and that
Mhm.
they are free and they know it, and they can laugh in the face of fear.
Yeah. There's no charge and there's a lot of
But what goes with,
neutrality.
yeah, but what
Yeah.
goes with that, you know, what's so beneficial is you need to trust at least something. And the two
Yeah.
things to trust is yourself and God.
God.
And
Mhm.
you have the choice to do that. If you do not trust yourself and God, you're not going anywhere. It is part of what you need to do because you are part of God, and you need to connect these things back in this ascension.
Yeah.
And you need to build on that and strengthen it because it also assists in lifting you up in the higher vibrations in the other dimensions.
Yeah.
And it's very real, you know, as we said, when ones feel the Christ come in their heart, the actual energy, you cannot
Mhm.
ignore that, and you cannot deny it or refute it. You know that it's very real, and you know that something very real is occurring. So it's
Yeah.
yeah, and follow it and let it uplift you. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all a remembrance of really who we are, and just the evolution and the growth to go back home, really, don't I mean, that's what I feel.
It, well, it is. That's what this ascension is about. You know, this never occurred. You find very little that was ever written about these auspicious times. You know,
Yeah.
and if we look at the word ascension, I did not really look where it was derived from, but I do recall Georgy Stankoff. Uh, you know, he's um, a very powerful light worker in metaphysics. He's a physicist, or he was, and a writer. And uh, I believe I heard him say that he was the one that coined the term for what is occurring, the ascension. But
Mhm.
it matters not who coined it. It is the perfect depiction of what is occurring. We are ascending like the Christ. So therefore, it's a planetary ascension that includes not all, but that's the way it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, do you want to talk about some ascension since we're kind of on that
Pardon?
ascension symptoms? Do you want to
Yeah.
talk about some ascension
Hmm.
symptoms since we're on that? Because I want to kind of step back too and just say, I know we talked about, you had mentioned about the foods and water and all that. And, you know, I had mentioned to you about cookware. By the way, I love the Gotham steel. It's amazing.
Okay,
And
yeah.
so I thought that was really important as to what we're cooking in as well. You know, I was cooking in Teflon, and that's when we had
Mhm.
that conversation. So I think it's just important to bring that to also to the front of you know, of your consciousness to kind of, you know, see what are we cooking with, or, you know, some may not even be cooking because if they're, you know, certain base diets don't do that anyway. But yeah.
Yeah, you know, essentially with the cookware, yeah, a lot of the cookware, especially frying pans and what have you, they have this no stick on them. And it would be very prudent to, you know, for example, like Teflon, no, don't go there because every time you use the pan, you are actually, you know, scraping some of that off in your food and you are actually digesting it. And these are petrocarbons again. Uh, so uh, pay attention to your utensils that you cook with as well. And you know, if you're able to keep a lot of ceramic or glass, that is some of the best. But even these plastic containers, what they use, you know, there's always a with them there is a breakdown, and as they break down, they do release chemicals, especially carbons, and the carbon is the stippler with this ascension because you are changing from a carbon based organism into a crystalline. And
Yeah.
that process means that many different carbons and carbon atoms of different structures are being eliminated from the human vessel, from your body. And you wish not to be putting, especially synthetic petrocarbons as well into your body. So it's good to be prudent with what you're cooking with. Like the old cast iron frying pans are great,
Yes.
you know, an excellent source of iron as well. And iron with the physical vessel is good. You know, it's okay for now, but we are constantly changing. But yeah,
Mhm.
watch the coatings on your cookware, and indeed, it's good to pay attention to that as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for that. Now, so some ascension symptoms. Can we talk about that? Because I know there's been a lot more since the last time we've talked.
Indeed, lately there's been pretty severe symptoms with some, and there are massive upgrades going on, but there was massive light coming in uh, for let's say about the last week. But there were several things with certain ones. There were several things playing out. One thing, they were kind of restricted. They were not supposed to be going out too much. They were kind of kept bedridden. That is one thing. Number
Mhm.
two, they were kept bedridden mostly because number two, there were things, upgrades happening with their physical vessel as well, which required rest and to allow for the processes to occur. And for some, they were very intense. And when very quickly, when you look at the physical vessel and that you know that it's evolving internally, that everything is changing, then you can more readily accept and understand the reasons why for some of the discomforts that occur because your whole let's just say your whole body is being literally turned inside out, right? You know, with there is no part of it that is going untouched in this ascension because
Mhm.
every cell in the human vessel needs to become crystalline. So that's an extensive process, and it can, you know, it can cause many
Trillions.
discomforts. And what causes the discomforts really is, for the most part, in the early stages, is the ones with their diets because of the chemicals that need to be
Mhm.
purged and detoxed from the vessel, and that will cause great discomfort. Now, having said that, There are also others that, you know, they take care of their bodies pretty good, that recently they have undergone, let's say, some more severe symptoms of nausea is one of the most common ones lately, and you know, acid reflux or heartburn. Now, these are related to the digestive system. So for some, or many, I should say, uh, have become nauseous and have had digestional symptoms. That is not, uh, it is due to the ascension process. And again, the body being prepared for to be able to sustain a different state of being, where I believe we mentioned before, Linda, in one of the shows that I said, you know, essentially you do not need food for these
Yeah.
vessels, that the energy that you derive from digesting food is actually a primitive way that you can now, your body has been changed enough without you knowing fully that you can really extract energy from the air. You just really need water. Now, let's say I still eat food yet, and many do, but let's say everything is changing, that you are going to be going to an area there where you really do not need to at least eat as much as you used to, and
Yeah.
this will be confirmed by many, you know, at this time,
Yeah.
because you
Fantastic.
really, when you can extract, let's say, energy from the air to maintain these physical bodies. You don't have a requirement for food, but you do require water. That is very important. The hydrogen to these physical vessels. So there is much. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Yeah. What about breath work? Like doing a lot of breathing exercises, breath work.
Totally.
Yeah.
And by the way, my lungs are pretty good. um,
Mine are too.
yeah. Um, and
Oh, because you
breathing
smoke. Yeah.
exercises. Yeah. Uh, I put this out. You know, we use breathing exercises to open portals, and you know, it's widely used for yoga and you
Yeah.
know, different other exercises as well. But it is so important too. And you know, I put out some breathing exercises. We have it on Real Angels. Again, on Awakening Journals on the website we have, where ones are putting their beautiful, uh, profound little short awakening stories. I believe we have on that website. I suggest for viewers to check that out as well. You can find the link on the Real Angels page in the announcements, and what we are compiling there is more of the higher teachings and the breathing exercises. I know are there. Um, they are, yeah, they are also on my timeline, but buried somewhere. But they are out there, and it's possible on Real Angels page too that I need to look, and we may have them there in areas as well. You know, I got things are still being kind of constructed, but occasionally on my timeline, I will put out. Uh, I will reiterate a 6-page report that I did a while ago, but that needs to be upgraded. I'll remind everyone it's outdated. We have new things with it, but there are many ways, you know, to access it, or just Google breathing exercises, perhaps Ascension, and you know, there's many other teachers that give these beautiful breathing exercises. But also, you
Yeah.
know, it's breathing is important, so it's prevalent throughout the yoga as well. So there's many ways you can get it, and they are good.
Yeah. Um, let's see. So, and I know also you were talking, did you want to talk about any more ascension symptoms? I know there's the birthing symptoms that we've been kind of talking about.
Pardon?
There's been a lot of birthing. There's been a lot of the birthing symptoms.
Now, the birthing symptoms, yes, it's very
Yeah.
real. What you have is ones, mostly females, but it has been occurring to me. You have the what will mimic pregnancy symptoms. My belly is just blowing up, and it's not because of the food. It's because of my feminine aside and my attachment to father and also to Gaia. So I'm getting, let me say, sometimes I'll get the feminine symptoms as well with that. And again, very comically, but very true to share with the viewers. Like there was a few weeks ago when I was here at Danny's, like I went in the shower and in my left breast, my feminine side, like it was a healthy breast was about 3 times bigger than the right side. And I'm in the shower, and all of a sudden I go to bring my hands up, and this one catches underneath the breast. With I looked down, and because I didn't know right until I looked down, I said, "Really, Dad?" He said, "Uh-huh." I said, "Oh my." But it's comic. I've been through all of these physical body changes, and
Yeah.
so, with this ascension, everything is possible, and I know that. So I just keep going with the flow. Okay, this happened, and I have so much fun as well, as you can see, sharing
Yeah.
these things that occur. But it's important for
Yeah.
everyone to share them. I have no reserves, as you can see, but yeah, I say, Dad, I am a masculine, and I wish to remain
Don't
that way.
worry.
I love this body, and I love what and who I am. I fully embrace my feminine side, and I have that all integrated. But
Yeah.
sometimes, well, the feminine side, funny things happen with it. So getting back to your question, um, yeah. Let's say receiving reports, from uh, some divine feminine that I keep in touch with, and uh, inadvertently as well, that yeah, there's bloating and maternal symptoms, and these are common, and it is natural, and it is connected to the ascension, and again, nothing medically wrong. What it does, it's sort of like a side effect of the energy from your connection to Gaia, that, and also the birthing of new timelines, which is
Yeah.
very important. So what is happening is that with the energetic effects of this, it's also translated into physical symptoms for the stronger ones of you that are, at that time in tune with Gaia, and also doing energy work there with her as well. So there'll be ones of you that will also feel that, and which is, as I said, and it can become in the past. And I do know, yeah, at least one, Christine. She had shared with me in the past. She was at a party one night, and this was several years ago or whatever, and her belly just started swelling up like a balloon, went right up to 9 months pregnant or so.
Oh my
Uh,
God.
and yeah, people at the party, they put her in a bathtub, and her water broke, and just wow. But that is her
Oh, it's
connection to
crazy.
Gaia as
Yeah.
well. So, and what is happening energetically in Christine is very powerful, and you'll see these powerful things occur. And also with Sonia, I know she can identify to a lot of the maternal symptoms as well, and it is very real. So again, there's nothing medically wrong when you're connected with this. You say, okay, what's next? But you're ready for anything, and just go with it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
those are occurring because we are also we are raising Gaia higher, and we are birthing new timelines as well. So the certain feminine that are co-creators in the respect of facilitating in preparing the timelines. They will also take on maternal symptoms at times. And, and with this ascension, there is nothing written in stone, as we are finding as we go along. You are more so given a lot of times you are given the experience and then the information comes in later. And let's say that has been, for the most part, the way it has been with this whole ascension so far. But what I'm seeing, though, and I'm very grateful to see this, that what's also occurring with the gifts, I'm starting to get more reports of a clairvoyancy, clairaudience, that more of them are doing that. They're getting visions, and it's starting to turn out very quickly. So I'm very impressed with that. I had a great conversation with Conrad. He's one of the admins, masculine, and to me, he is Archangel Michael incarnated here, one of them at least, and he's very powerful. And we had just great discussion last night, and he was sharing, he's doing his inner work, and he is sharing. He shared with me quite a bit of the real. His real prowess. He's putting it to test, and he's seeing magnificent results with it that cannot be ignored. And you could even say like it's magic. It is, but it's real, right? And
as Sonia would say.
Just so much going on, and it's so beautiful to see everyone blossoming and coming into these new gifts. It's just so beautiful. Now I think about Daniela. She just informed me earlier, because I just got here today. I was gone for about 2 weeks, and she said she woke up the other morning and she heard this strange voice telling her to get, I believe, a spoonful of peanut butter and a sip of water. But she said it was in like kind of an English, England, UK accent. And she's Bulgarian, right? And she did like, where did that voice come? But she got up and listened to it, because, this is part of the guidance as well. And, there are more that I'm also coming across that are saying, yeah, they're hearing the actual voice as part of their guidance too. And this is very real, and it will occur as well. And also, with the Sibyls in Italy, the Sibyls were female prophetess. So female prophets, they were prophetesses. I'm uncertain how you would pronounce that, but female prophets. And they would, what it was is they would hear the voice of God. And it's quite an amazing story with them and with the Sabine women of that time, and during Rome. And it's quite a story I don't wish to get into, but the important aspect of it is that, these women, the Sabine women that were Sibyls, they could hear the voice of God. And but they were suppressed and ignored again, and it goes along with part of the feminine suppression of what occurred. But they could hear the voice of God. So this is the same sort of thing. You can hear the actual words, and it's not anything nefarious at all. Anyone knows that you feel in your heart. See, the one thing about the darkness is that the way to distinguish if something is dark or if something is light is just look at your heart. If it's light, you feel it in your heart. If it's dark, you don't feel anything. So it's a very good discernment, and ignore anything that does not resonate with you and that you don't feel in your heart. And that way it assures that it's divine and coming from a good place. But for the most part, Linda, with your viewers here, they all pretty well know that. But this is a good, uh, this is perhaps for one's just awakening, a good thing to look at to be able to differentiate and weed out a lot of the garbage. Because also with that, you have a lot that were under certain conditionings and mind control as well, which makes it very difficult, which made it very difficult for some because you had such a huge cognitive dissonance where they didn't know what to believe and what to trust, right? And it can become very confusing for some of them that were conditioned in the mind control programs and just breaking out of it. They're in the past are so alone, they don't know what to trust, but they know they need to reach out for assistance. And, they do. A few have reached out to I in the past, and I assisted where I was supposed to assist with it.
Yeah. Well, I want to kind of go back when you talked about, working people for like Gaia, that the female, the symptoms. It seems like, and you touched on this a little bit, but I just kind of reiterate that anybody who really is working with Gaia is going to have a lot of those symptoms.
They will. And I believe if you ask that, you will find others saying yes, because they are with the energy. They're working with the energy. They know it's very real. They feel it, and there are what you call side effects from it. But also with that, see, there is part of the process that many more are being connected into Gaia as well, because it's something like a lift to take us into the higher vibration. So many more are being instilled. They're being connected, I should say, to Gaia and to Father as well, right? So they connect first to Mother, Father, God, then they connect to Gaia. And when they start making, and as they advance, they start making these very important connections because they are stepping into their divinity as part of an angel, a higher angel, if you will. Then they also assist in the lift of the energetic Gaia into the new vibrations. And these are very powerful. They become very powerful in this now. Everything is always subject to change very rapidly because we are always ascending. But that is one of the ways that they begin to be connected. And they need to have the symptoms to at least to know that they are profound, right? And then they start getting the other information. And what it does by having the profound symptoms to occur to the body as well, once they're able to distinguish, then it weeds out the doubt and it actually strengthens their connection to Gaia and Father. And they say, okay, now I know what's going on. And, they start receiving, on their own. And it just keeps building them higher and higher. And, they are so powerful and so amazing. And I know, at least, I know several very powerful ones, but there are a lot more. It's just that I don't readily have the time to more fully connect with all the other ones. Like my time is pretty well taken up. With that, may you excuse me for a moment. I need to use the washroom. The energy is so high, and it's I'll be right back.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you, everybody who's joined since we've been chatting. So thanks for being here. Thanks for your comments. I don't know. I haven't been really able to read them, but I'll just go back for who's ever just joined us recently. So far, we've talked about some cases of crystals that have been chirping and moving. Rick's talked about one of his, Daniela's, that she's had some movement. Of course, we know Sonia. She's had some with her diamonds. And then also we talked about Ascension symptoms and cookware. And so I don't know about stainless steel. That was a question that I think I had for Rick, and Rick said no on the stainless steel. I really like the Gotham steel. It's, I think, titanium and ceramic, and Rick said that was good because I asked him before I actually purchased it. And I love it, by the way. And always cast iron is really good. And it's just so heavy, so I don't have any of that. And we were also talking about the symptoms for Gaia and things like that. And I just wanted to reiterate something with the Ascension symptoms, that we don't need to go to the doctor for any of that. That's what it all is. So I know for myself, I'm like, oh my gosh, something's wrong. I mean, not so much anymore, but I was just talking about not going to the doctor if you have any symptoms. Like before, I'd be like, oh my gosh, I need to go to the doctor because what's going on with me? Linda, we have noticed a light glowing above your head. Oh yeah, this one right there. Yeah, I think that is the reflection from I think it's a reflection from this light, but I feel like it's a halo over my head.
Yeah.
So.
It doesn't matter what creates it. It's the fact that it is there in that most conspicuous place. Yeah.
Yes, above my crown. So as we're talking about all this, yeah. So thank you for noticing that.
Like an apple for a minute. I just wondered if you were William Tell.
Oh.
Cool.
That's so funny. So don't go to the doctor if anything's going on. Just I think Rick mentioned in one of our other shows, go on to one of your like-minded, higher conscious people. There's so many people on Real Angels. There's so many people on other pages too that we can always go to and reach out to and confirm with them, like, hey, I'm going through this, or post it somewhere, and somebody will always comment on that. So I just wanted to reiterate that.
Yeah, indeed.
And yes.
Yeah, the key. Look at the shadow. It's like a heart. Can you see that?
No.
Oh, I can see it here pretty easy. It's shaped like a heart.
Oh yeah, yes, I can. Shadow. Yes, now I can. Yes, I can now.
Well,
it's dark, it's shadowed. Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you just left the light, so we can't see it now. Now we can.
Yeah. Well, there it is. But yeah, what? Sorry, what were you saying? I got distracted. These funny things.
You got distracted because you got all those hearts in the background. I got the light over my head. We got all the great love and energy of the people, viewers. All this energy is going great. Yeah, I was saying about not going to the doctors.
Yeah, you know the ones that know enough now. Yeah, your answer is the good water and no pharmaceuticals. Those of you just that are watching this, that are perhaps weaning yourself off, just keep introducing your good vegetables in the clean water, and then you begin to wean yourself off of pharmaceuticals that you might have been on. But each judges what they need to do accordingly. But with the Ascension, for the most part, everyone watching this, they would not be here unless they were ascending, which means they had the ability to cure everything within their physical vessel, their self, and any new things that are occurring with them, what they feel like medically or physically is Ascension related, that there's like really nothing wrong with you. And as I shared in an earlier one, when I was awakened in transitioning this body, I had blood coming out of every orifice. Like you would with that you just that was it. It was done. But hey, look, no, I'm here. So no, it's all Ascension symptoms, and it's the detoxing and the purification of the body as well. But it's the negativity and the pH level of the vessel. Keep your pH level higher. Get away. I did mention for some higher ones of you, and everyone is at different levels and different stages, and they will be eating different things, but it is a transitory stage that And what you will find with most of the teachers that they have reached a level where chemicals are all eliminated from their food, and they are practicing the very best, let's say, eating habits and drinking good water, and they know it. But if one of you that is sick, just take a look at your teachers or what have you, that they have done it. They are the proof to show you that you can heal yourself, and that there are ascension symptoms that are occurring, and so much more with that, and they can assist.
Yeah. I just want to throw something out there because I thought this was okay, and I don't know anybody else. I took some charcoal, activated charcoal, because a friend of mine who is in the health industry said that's really good for toxins if you get food poisoning and stuff. And I told Rick I had taken it because my stomach was having problems, and I thought, oh my gosh. And he's like, no, that's carbon. So I actually got rid of all that. So that was very helpful. And even charcoal toothpaste. I know a lot of people who brush with charcoal
Wow.
toothpaste.
Yeah.
So, I mean, even though that it's vegan, and so that's something to consider too. So anything that's charcoal, they've got the charcoal masks that you can put on your face.
Yeah,
So,
there's a lot of things. Yeah, and what I'm told, stay away from the charcoal as
yep,
well. It's not really compatible. So to whatever
yeah,
degree that you can, yes.
yeah.
And the
So I just wanted
coal,
to throw that out
it's
there.
all carbon based. Yeah,
Yeah,
very dense carbon based.
yes. Okay, I want to go back to a couple things that you had said earlier. You had mentioned that there's more than one Archangel Michael.
Yes.
So can you kind of clarify that? Because that's, we think there's just one Archangel Michael, right? The Archangel Michael, but there are several.
Okay. Well, may I say then that what we call us now during this ascension, we call us the Christ collective, because you embody
Okay.
the Christ and you become like the Christ, but you also are connected to the Christ. So it's not only isolated or contained to the Christ, you have your other beings of light as well, that what you identify with, that you can become one with them. So the Archangel Michael of light, and again, this is important. Anyone connecting with Archangel Michael and becoming one with Archangel Michael in any of your practices, in your connections, make sure that you specify of light, because there was a dark Archangel Michael that was created to cause confusion as well. But now, let me say there are certain ones that are a very powerful Archangel Michael incarnates that are connected, because in reality we are all one. We have saw that before. So meaning to be all one means that you can access all of the angelics, because you're now embracing your divinity, going back to the higher realms where yes, you can access Archangel Michael, and it depends upon the individuals how much you can bring that aspect into this now. And let me say, like with my great comrade Conrad, beautiful. It's there. He has it integrated. He utilizes, and he recognizes. He owns Archangel Michael as well. And this is so important. You need to own the deity or the angelics as well that you're connected with, because if you don't own them, it separates you from that certain connection. And it's perfectly okay to say that I'm Mary Magdalene, that I'm Archangel Uriel. That's perfectly okay. Once you identify with that certain archangel or angel, and that you do have that direct connection there. And we had mentioned, before in another show, Merlin. I love, because Merlin always rambunctious to go, and yeah, you can connect and say, hey, I'm Merlin, right? Now,
Yeah.
the amount of magic you're allowed to perform is governed, but you can have fun with it, and it is very real. So you're not restricted to one because on your way back you become all, right, and that means you have access to all of that,
Yeah.
all of the good ones.
Yes. Awesome. I love
You
that.
don't
Thank
want
you.
anything, yeah, you don't want any god
No.
or goddess that represents ill intent or anything. You want to keep on the good, with the good ones, keep you going forward.
Yeah. And something else, speaking of that, something else I wanted just to, because you had mentioned about the darkness, in your heart, and if you didn't feel it in your heart, then, it wasn't. But I also want to add to that is like if you feel in your abdomen, like if you're in connection with someone physically or on the phone or whatever, doesn't matter, and you're feeling that in your abdomen, that's another sign that it's, it's not resonating. And so you want to cut that.
Yeah, at that time, it could be it could be multiple reasons, but the first thing is, yeah, you're feeling that, to cut that off.
Yeah.
It could be because they are dark or negative, that it's just
Yeah.
that they have a lot of things to deal with yet, and you don't wish to be taking that energy into you unless you're able to transition it very quickly, disassemble it, and turn it unto the light.
Right.
But if
Yeah.
not, if you're feeling that, and no, that is your intuition, that's part of your guidance to let you know that if you're not purposely, intentionally, divinely assisting them with doing that, then no, I suggest to cut that off. But also, you will also receive that if you're a higher consciousness one and you're connected to the collective consciousness, there are also times that will occur that for the stronger ones, you contribute a lot to the collective consciousness. And there are times, and this occurs with I regularly, that I'm not allowed to talk about something, or I'm not allowed to bring the subject up at that time, even though it's a very legitimate ascension subject. It's just that at that certain time, it's not allowed to be distributed or released at that time within the collective consciousness,
Yeah.
because everyone is united and the collective consciousness is telepathy going all back and forth, and there are
Yeah.
major contributors to that. And so it is, just lost the word, but anyhow, yeah, it's watched with that from the higher degrees to assure that at certain times something is not prematurely released within the telepathic Christ consciousness, or if there's a certain theme that you
Yeah.
don't want to be released in it. And for another example, what I was instructed to put out and strongly suggested about a week or so ago, maybe more, for everyone to keep your thoughts thinking about creating the new.
Yeah.
And you don't want to be thinking about the old things, because you are
Yeah.
actually energizing them and keeping them into existence, and it's
Yeah.
going to trap you, more or less. It will not, but you need to know why you are reaching for the stars, if you will, and leaving this go. It's important. So
Yeah.
you don't get up here by holding on to your old, to these attachments. You've got to be ready to leave here in a blink of an eye. And that's what everyone, they prepare themselves. They no longer have major attachments. They might have a job and stuff down here, but hey, that's not an attachment if you're able just to walk out the door in the blink of an eye, because that
Yeah.
means you're ready to go, right? You might have a job and still functioning in the 4D, and perhaps you're engaging and interacting with others to assist them in the 4D, but at a job or what have you, but you're ready to go, in the that's where everyone needs to be, ready just to drop everything and go to the highest and keep their energy, their attention there. If you're down working in a 4D job, say, okay, well, I got to have patience. I'm here. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do and what I'm guided to. But at a moment's notice, I can drop this and get on the bus and get going.
Yeah. Good point. And trust that. And I think too that the conversations that we have, going back to that, what you just said, is that it's important because when the conversations that we're having, right? So if we're talking about negative stuff and things like that, I know at some point you might have to, but we're only putting that out into the collective. So, and what we really want to do is really have these conversations of really positive, high vibrational conversations. So that does affect the collective, and it does obviously help us, and help us in this ascension process as well. So it's important
exactly. I saw somewhere the other day about false positive, quote, false positive, unquote. That is absolutely ridiculous. I do not condone that or do not support it because there is no such thing as false positive. And the reason why there is not is because you are sub-creator. And if you keep things positive, it may appear to someone blind in this now that they're being falsely positive, but that's just because of their nearsightedness. You need to be positive to create the positive.
Yes.
So don't anyone be tricked into that, and always keep positive regardless whatever. And also understand that everything needs to divinely occur for a reason. Yeah. And that really it's not negative in this sense that they are guidance mechanisms, but also when you see something that you can tweak up that may appear negative, you change the polarity. And so in your discussions with the higher consciousness ones, as you referred to, Linda, that, if they're speaking about negative things, if they do come up, which, they need to because you're assisting other ones. But if you're conversing with another higher consciousness one and you're talking about a negative thing, put the flip side positive in, then it neutralizes it and it doesn't affect. But just don't keep lingering on the dark and the negative. Make sure you put your positive spin on it, which is supposed to be there, and reveal it for showing what it is. So, and then in that manner, then it's okay to, let's say, what you have then that way, you have the problem, which is the negativity or the darkness, but you have the solution there with it. And then that makes it neutral within the collective consciousness. So then, another reason why you don't want to be entering just negative things in there without the resolution, resolving the problem or solving it, is because if you keep entering all negative things into that collective consciousness, well then boom, you put everyone right down into 4D, or you're going to have segments where lots down in 4D, and you cause disharmony among in the collective consciousness. And these are only a few reasons during your work to assure that when you're assisting ones, do not leave the conversation negative. You always need to change the polarity, keep it positive, and put the higher perspective on it so that it's resolved and it's not floating around in the consciousness. People are saying, okay, where's this negativity? Why am I getting these negative thoughts? Where are they coming from? Like, I don't have negativity anymore. Well, when you're some of these fragments do get up in there. Sometimes it happens purposely that some are allowed to release it into the collective so that we can get rid of it quicker, but for the most part, be responsible again and don't even leave it to enter the collective unfinished. If you let negative things or dark things enter the conversation or the consciousness, make sure you always apply the remedy on top of it to make it neutral.
Yes. And then also too, like you had mentioned the other day, I think it was in a video I watched that you did, is that when something is negative, don't just discard it and just kind of throw it out there. Make sure you turn it on to the light. Turn it up to the light.
And this is so important.
Yeah.
See, you now have the abilities to actually eliminate and eradicate negativity.
Yeah.
That's why everyone was, taught what I have taught to a lot and others. That's why you're taught to master negativity and fear in the beginning, because then it prepares you for a little bit higher work where you find that you actually have the power to eradicate negativity. And the way to do this is not just like pick it off of you and say, oh, I cleanse myself and let it go and it runs over and jumps on someone else. No. You have the ability again to, when you recognize it, you neutralize it within your imagination, your third eye, or your operating part of your brain. You neutralize it, disassemble it. That's important. Take it apart, and then send it back to source and seal it with, and so it is. And I can guarantee you this does work, and it's very powerful. So again, when you have more doing that on these lower timelines, getting rid of negativity, guess what happens?
Yeah.
We raise up into the higher magic, into the harmony, positive, and love. So you have the abilities to eradicate what are anchors, the negativity as well. And the more we have, doing this, you do it for yourself, but you also do it for the collective. And the more you have doing that, the quicker we raise up, the more magic you have, the more love, the more fun, the more harmony.
Yeah. Amen. Love that. Keep the love. So another one I want to go back to is you didn't finish telling the story about Daniela when she got the peanut butter. She was guided to get up and get the peanut butter and sip of water.
Oh, yeah, she was just guided to do that, but that was more or less the end of it. So she just stopped and okayed it. But I just got here this afternoon, and more or less, I'm told so much has occurred here while I was gone, so I'm not all up to date and briefed on it. But again, so much magic has occurred, and with Danny, I'm just totally impressed and so grateful what I'm witnessed in her. This was, a couple weeks since I got here, and wow, what progress I am seeing in her. I'm so impressed and so grateful, and it's so beautiful to see.
Yeah, that's awesome. I don't know if you want to talk about that, or if you want to go on. You want to talk about the 5D overlay?
Well, while we're on Danny, on Danny's subject, maybe can I take that a little bit further right now before?
Yes, I didn't know if you wanted to. Yeah, I didn't know if you wanted to. So, but yes, of course, I think people would be great for them to know.
Oh, this is so important, and I asked Danny's permission, and she said it's okay. So, what occurred with Danny a few days ago is that her Kundalini activated, and I'd come here to Danny's, and a great divine comrade Helen was here previous, and so Helen comes in my little RV, and we're talking a little bit, catching up very quickly. Then Danny comes in the RV and joins us, and she sits down. At first I'm feeling the combined energy because the strength in numbers, and I knew in the past when the three of us are together, you could feel the energetic field, and you're creating all kinds of cool side effects and magic, and you're enticing the ships and everything, right? And but she comes in, and I was given no forward knowledge of what had occurred with her, but I'm feeling the increased energy, and I'm deciphering like what's occurring because it's increased and it's heightened. And very comically, so I start looking at Danny, and uh, immediately when I looked in her eyes, then I started to feel the energy because I'm a, I'm an empath, and I'm also a Kundalini catalyst when I'm allowed and things. And I recognized, I said, Danny, your Kundalini has activated. And yeah. And she says, yes, the last several days, like, the
Oh,
main thing with the Kundalini is feeling um, the sexual sensations in the root with it, because, that is one of the most amplified areas in that you feel the energy actually moving on its own as well. And so I was just so grateful, and I could see it in her eyes. Also, I was watching because she was, beautifully excited and speaking with Helen and things, and what I'm seeing also in her eyes, that her eyes were a dark brown, but I also see them changing blue a little bit, and in the gray
wow.
as well. And Helen was sitting there, and she noticed the blue tinge starting to come into Danny's eyes as well. So another very beautiful, important thing. But to see this occurring right at this time as well. Um, it was, I did not have an inkling that it was going to occur with her, and I never really thought about it, right? So but
Yeah.
I'm happily caught off guard, and I said, wow, we are getting closer because more are being activated uh, as well. So again, it's very 11:11. It's very real,
Oh,
and
yay.
that's Eastern Standard Time. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'll
But
say it's
yeah,
8:11 here.
but
We're on the
again,
same time.
you know, uh,
Mm,
again, it's very real, and it's so important and I'm so thankful for Danny that, she allowed me to share this openly, because this is
yeah.
also what we got to do, and, to show it's real. So right now, with the ones that have Kundalinis activated, we just now have another one. So the more and more you get, right, it can no longer be refuted nor denied. Also, the importance of it and all the divine attributes and prowess that comes with that aspect
Ah,
as well.
mm,
So it's also very indicative of, the ascension is occurring, and that all of this is very real, and that we're powering up here very very quickly too. And I
yeah.
anticipate many more Kundalinis being activated right in this now, and possibly they did occur, for
I
many
hope.
just in the last few days as well, because the
Yeah.
energetics does permit it. And I will say it's inevitable as well. And this can occur in the blink of an eye. So, yeah.
Good. I have a chance. Can you elaborate on the Kundalini, like what that is, and I mean, I
Well,
know it's like the serpent. Yeah.
it's your Merkaba or Merkaba, I say Merkaba, or your light body, or your energy vortex is what I like to use. Eh, you have an aura, which is energy, and it has a charge always. And, it's same as you do have an energetic field, is what it is.
Yeah.
In the core of that energetic field, when it comes powered up, it when it gets powered up, it's a vortex of energy, and it starts at the root chakra, and it goes upward, and it spirals, and it comes out, your top, your crown, and it keeps spiraling and connecting your other chakras, and it's like turning a whole bunch of switches on. But what it actually does is, with your energy, with your aura, your energetic field that, all souls have, it powers it up to a higher state where you're able to go sustain with this physical vessel in other dimensions. You're able to enter there to higher dimensions because your vortex, your Merkaba, is your light ship vehicle. So you can transport yourself. It's linked to your multi-dimensional abilities. It's linked to your bilocation properties. It's linked to transcending time and space and transporting yourself and all kinds of other cool stuff where we're going as we keep getting higher. So it's very important that you have that. Now, what is written here and in the past, there are ones in certain practices, perhaps mostly in the Middle East or let's say Southeast Asia, where you have, some Buddhist monks and some strong Buddhists or some Hindu, perhaps. You have different beliefs and cultures there, but throughout them, they practice a certain empowering themselves beyond. And now, what you may see with that in the past, that you may see these ones that have did their work, got their light body going, let's say 100 or 200 years ago, and what you would see they died. So you would think that they just died because they left a body behind. But with that, that's not what occurred. They actually ascended out of here, and what is left behind is just a replica to keep the human playground intact without revealing too much.
So you can't force the Kundalini. I mean, how can you activate it? I know you can't force it, but how can one activate the Kundalini?
Let me say, for what I get, it's at the soul level for the ones that are to have it activated, the timing of it. Now, let's say it does occur randomly, but it can also be forced if it is in the soul contract to force it. For example, one would say, I want my Kundalini activated. And they may say, okay, I'm going to go, to this meditation practice and get it done. I want it activated. So you might look at that as forcing it. But if you look deeper, no, that is their soul contract way and the divine timing, how they get it activated. So yeah, you may say it's forcing, but no, they do everything perfect. So that is just the way that they chose in their soul contract to activate it. And for I, very quickly, I was oblivious to what was going on again when mine was activated. I didn't know what it was, and I'm online. At that time, trying to find out. I was online, but actually Father in Divinity, because of its time, and they just give me the information, come up on the computer, and I say, okay, that's what this is, and to very quickly learn it. But for I had no forward knowledge of what it was, but it was divine timing that it had to occur, and as I said, I had fun with it, what I shared several times before, and it was so comical.
Yes, it was a good story.
Yeah. Very, very comical too.
Yeah, because I know there's a Kundalini yoga.
Yeah. Some of these practices, the ones, and it would be interesting to know the participants at this time, to have some statistics from these Kundalini yogas to actually see if many are actually activating them there, because I would, without looking for that, I would, I feel that, let's say the statistics would reveal that there's more than usual maybe being activated. It may not be the case, but because of this ascension, I would tend to believe that there may be more, but actually I'm told no. So I got to go with what I'm given on it.
Father.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But
Okay,
it can
cool.
occur, you know, if you, for the most part, and I said this in another show, if you're aware of the term Kundalini, just by you being aware means that it's going to be uh, activated, or you would not even have the knowledge of what it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
So at
Okay.
some point, it can happen. And Linda, I'd love to hear some stories like mine from others, you know, and yeah,
Yeah, that
and
would be
we can
good.
make it
Yeah.
fun as well because you know, yeah, it's funny.
We have a whole Kundalini show. And everybody would be kind of like flying high, all energy, just crazy.
Yeah,
It'd be a really intensive high energy, that's for sure. Like heightened, not high, heightened.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, you know, and that's what makes it
Yeah.
fun, but also, you know, so educational for the others, openly sharing every aspect of it with no taboo, no restrictions,
Yeah.
no limitations, because,
Yeah.
you know, this is very real and everything is affected. Everything
Yeah.
you ever knew is affected, including every part of the body with this.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Well, I look forward to that day. Okay. So will everyone have their Kundalini activated? Well, I shouldn't say. I mean, yeah, I want to say everyone because even earlier you said not a lot of people, not everyone's going, and we kind of know why. But
Uh,
um,
for some of the stronger teachers, one of the best ways to activate uh, another's Kundalini, if you are allowed, is to just stare them, you know, close up, right in the eyes. Just keep looking in the eyes for several minutes or so, and that may do it.
oh, wow, just like that, huh?
There was a lady recently asked me if I would activate her Kundalini, but I was given no, I was not allowed, but I was also given that it's being taken care of by another means, but
Oh,
I was not
okay.
allowed to do it. Yeah. And as I said, I use great discipline and responsibility with my divine abilities as well, and only use them when I'm told to use them too.
Yeah,
And because it can be very intense as well from,
yeah. Well,
you know, I and others when you do this. Yeah.
yeah, I think that's a good point. That even if somebody else is activating, that they really, oh, there's 77 viewers, that they also too, keep with that connection, and if they are allowed to, because we can get excited and go, yeah, let's do this,
Yeah.
and
But
maybe
one
it's not the
thing, you
right
know,
time.
I wish to say to the viewers as well, it's important to handle discipline because what it's
Yeah,
involved is, you know, all of the sexual sensations. And the main thing is you don't, you know, it can be very intense, very pleasurable, very wild, but you don't want to remain in a state of lust. You don't want to get caught down there. This is sacred energy and it's yours, and it's also, you know, the others. And what you don't wish to do is to abuse it and get caught in lust. When these are triggered, you're to be responsible and work the energy up. If you're working with another, if someone has activated your Kundalini, the correct procedure uh, for the most time is for that other to assist you in raising it up to the heart space. You've got to
mm,
get it up there and connected to get the energy out of the lust and into the love because the love is the priority energy. And then what will occur? Then then you will have more control over the root chakra, over the sexual sensations, that you'll be able to turn them on and off and use shields when you need to. But you need to get that very quickly up to the heart and get that connected so that your heart is actually the control over it. And then you continue bringing it up through the throat, through the rest of your chakras, whatever way, and getting it up to the crown as well. And that's very important because what you're actually doing is the light body, the Merkaba, again, what you're actually doing is activating that and assuring that for the individual that it is up and running sufficiently that they begin to have more multiple experiences and that they keep preparing their humanoid vessel to go into the other dimensions. So it's not happening just to have a romp in the hay. It's very important and it's sacred. And to each individual it is. And for your viewers, anyone that's abusing that, again, just reveal them openly online who they are. If they're, let's say, what I would call abuse is that if they're just having tantric sex with it and having fun and all that. This is very serious and it's very important. And I know what it's like, and others would like to have fun with it. But if there's one out there saying that they are a catalyst, and it's mostly the males, and we're going to trigger your Kundalini, but we got to have this tantric sex and things. No, if they do not do the proper things at working with that energy and raising it up. And if they keep focusing on sexual tantric acts, tantric sexual acts, then that is your key to, get away from that because there is a little bit of abuse there in the past. But to my present knowledge, I believe we have rectified that because a few times in the last we did like kind of snip the males. And surprisingly, the last time, I believe there was a couple females that were actually abusing the prowess,
Wow.
which was very interesting to me. And they also were snipped, like that prowess turned off, that part, so that they could not utilize and abuse that sacred energy with that. And, because it's out of selfishness and all of these things are not really compatible.
Right. Good. That's a great point. I love that point. And I love the fact from lust to love. And it sounds like also that it would be beneficial to have someone who you could really trust. And it sounds like you would need somebody else to kind of help you because if you're going through this, it sounds like it's something pretty intense that you would want, just like Daniela having Helen there to kind of help and guide her to bring this, not knowing, what was happening. So it sounds like it would be beneficial to have somebody.
Yeah, exactly. And again, I was oblivious to what occurred, but Helen had informed me that before I got here, Helen and Danny, they were working on grounding the energy and trying to do what they could with it to assist Danny. And they were both divinely guided. They didn't go into it with any instruction manual. They just trusted and say, okay, we got to do this and that, uh, and that's how they proceeded with it. With prudence and a discipline. And and when you do it that way, then you quickly advance the others to turn on all of their motors, right? And instead of getting caught in the lust and running around in the tantric area. No.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Thank you for sharing that. Thanks for sharing her story too. That was awesome. Yeah, I'm sure it answered a lot of questions. Yeah, do you want to talk about the 5D overlay? That's an important one.
I do. How about you?
Yes.
Well, Linda, with that 5D overlay, do you wish to share, reiterate, or maybe you shared it before, or where you saw a bank or whatever?
Yeah, no, I haven't shared it on here. Yeah, I'll share my story. Gosh, I don't know what it was, maybe 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago. I was in a high vibration state. You know, I was really flying high, and I happened to be in this little shopping center, and there's, you know, a bunch of little shops and stuff, and I happened to be going south in the parking lot, and to my left there's an angel massage, and I looked over, and to the side of that I saw First, which was a First Bank, and I thought to myself, as I kept driving, I thought to myself, gosh, it's so weird, I've never seen a bank here. And like, I know this shopping center, like I know every store in this place. Not that I go, I mean, I go a lot, but I just know this place, right?
Yeah.
And so I thought, wow, that was really weird, but I didn't put two and two together. You know, I just went about my merry way, but it was in my mind thinking that was so strange. Like, you know, where'd that come from? And da 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 da. So then a week went by, and I happened to go to appointments. And when I was at this appointment, it was exactly what Rick was talking about earlier, where I started to get agitated. And I knew in my consciousness, like, I thought, gosh, this isn't me. This is kind of weird. And I actually did a post on this, Rick.
Okay.
I think, listen to divinity or don't push divinity or something like that. And so I started to get agitated, and I even thought to myself, gosh, this is not like me, you know, because she was 5 minutes late. So I opened up the door, and I'm like, excuse me, but, you know, I have a place to go, which I really didn't have any place to go, but I wanted to beat the high winds and the rain. And as you brought to my attention, it's like, well, why would I want to put that energy out there that I'm going to get caught up in that, right? So anyway, I could tell her energy was different because, of course, I kind of came in on this conversation that she was having. And anyway, to make a long story short, so we got finished, and I left there, and then I had to go to another appointment to give them some money. And it was close to the shopping center place. And so I was in a higher vibration, but not as high, but I was in a higher vibration because I felt good about giving this girl money or whatever. And so I heard, go check out and see if the bank is still there. And so I was like, okay, cool. So I went, and I could not find the bank. And so I called Rick, and I'm like, Rick, I think this was in my imagination. He's like, well, how could it have been in your imagination when you saw it? Because I literally saw First, and I knew that it was bank. I knew it was, you know, and then when I didn't see it, I was like, oh, darn. And so I was there the other day, and my vibration has been really, really high. And so I was like, oh, I think I'm going to find it, you know? Yeah. And so I went there, and I did not see it. And, but I did see something else that was there that I did not see before, as I told you, because I thought this whole building was angel massage. Like, it was the whole building. Because when I went back, the whole building was angel massage. But when I went back the second time, or this other time, not just recently, it was something else on that side. And I thought, well, that's kind of weird. Like, well, I thought the whole building was angel massage, right? But it wasn't the bank. And so Rick was saying that is my bank, you know, that when, you know, I do come to this point, that vibration where I was, that I'll see that again. So, yeah.
And that's what I'm believing. So Linda, you, if I recall, you said you heard in your head from Father to go check that bank out the second time to see what was there, and that's the time it was. But you got a clear message, from Father to go check it out. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, totally. I heard him say, go see if the bank is still there, because I was really close, and I hadn't even thought of it when I was on my way to this appointment dropping off money. But as I got in my car, that's when I heard him say, go check to see if the bank is there. And I was like, oh yeah, and so I went, and I was like, oh, I know the bank is around here somewhere. And I went, like, I drove through the whole parking lot twice, and I did not see the bank. But I know exactly where it was, because it's interesting, because Angel Massage is right there, and it was right next to Angel Massage.
Yeah, indeed.
And so, how ironic was that, So it was just really cool, and I was like, oh, I was so excited. But I wish I would have, to go back, when I actually thought to myself, gosh, that's really weird. Like, I've never seen a bank here, and I've come here many times, and I've driven by there, and I've parked by Angel Massage, and I've never seen that bank. And I wish I would have just gone back and just gone in there, and they would have said, hey, Linda Summers, how are you? Or Miss Summers. And, are you here to get some money? Of course, but it just wasn't time. So, but now I know that, and I think my point would be to anybody listening is that when that is in your consciousness, act upon it.
Indeed, test it. Yes, go into
Yes.
it. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like if I should have just turned the car around and just went right to there. But,
Mhm.
I didn't really
Yeah,
put
you
things together.
didn't really know at that time. Yeah. So, we're having the liberty now to inform others as well. Yeah. Don't hesitate. Yeah. When you see something that's out of the ordinary, go into it.
Yeah.
And, I met with a lady just a couple nights ago, and a similar experience, not with a bank, but what had occurred from my understanding from her experience. A couple weeks ago, she had needed some glue, so she took a walk in her area. She lives in the city, and she had found a dollar store. I believe she said she didn't know that that dollar store was there before, but anyway, she went inside, purchased her glue, and she went home. And um, so this happened about 2 weeks ago, and it's my understanding about a week ago that she thought to go back there again to that dollar store. And so she went to the location and she couldn't find it. She said she even walked up and down the street a little bit to assure that she was in the right location and that she was. And but where the dollar store was at was like a kitchen place, a kitchenette place or something. So she walked inside of that, is what she had said, and looked over the counter to see if the counter wall was there or whatever, where the glue was at in the dollar store. But she said it was not there. So she said it was a kitchenette place or what have you. And so she just notified me yesterday that I met with her Friday night. And so on Saturday, uh, she went again to that location, and she sent me a text yesterday. She said, "Rick, it's the dollar store again today," and but she made a comment that she liked the other version, which was the kitchenette better. But I asked her for some clarity on that, but she didn't respond yet because I'm curious as to what she meant. So
Yeah.
now, this again is a 5D overlay where things are not the same as well. Even though this is not with a bank, what it is showing is that she is multidimensionally capable with her being and who and what she is to access that other higher dimension. So when the QFS and these other timelines come into where we have the direct access, she is one that will be going. You are one, Linda. I also, and my most profound experience with what you would call another timeline, it occurred in just shortly after, I guess about 2 years after I awakened, where I went in the biggest timeline distortion. I was going across the northern Ontario, and I needed gas, and I was very low. And Father kept telling me, don't go over 80 kilometers up there in Canada. It's kilometers. Conserve the gas so you get there. And so I had just enough, and um, but that whole night was just the whole trip actually going across Canada was just totally high vibrational. I was in another timeline, but what occurred that night is that so I come around this bend. I'm going through. It's all woods, no houses there, and I come around this bend, and what I see is this strip mall, good sized strip mall, with perhaps 10 or 12 stores, and also a grad station and a Tim Hortons is out kind of like not in the center, but towards the road with something like a L-shaped strip mall. And like you say, I say, okay, yeah, I'm on the outskirts of this little town. I was never there before and didn't know what to anticipate. And so I slow down. Excuse me. Uh, it's around 9:30 in the night, and I wanted to keep driving all night. But this gas station, I looked, all the lights was out. It was closed, and I saw Tim Hortons was there, was open, and at that time I did drink Tim Hortons coffee. I don't advise anyone to drink it anymore, but I was going to go and get a coffee and some donuts. And but I said, I'm low on gas, and time I start, and because I'm running on fumes, I said, time to drive down in there, and if I got to wait, that I might not have enough gas to get up to the little town, which was 2 kilometers away. The sign said, and I said I'll be able to get, should be a 24-hour gas station open. So I kept driving, and I got up to this little town, and all that was there was a motel and a gas station and maybe a store. The gas station's closed down, and
Oh,
the store's closed. So I drive to the motel, and there's a guy there, and so I asked him if I could stay in that parking lot overnight. I said because I don't have enough gas, by the gas station. And yeah, he said it was okay. And I said, is this all the town, just this? And he said, yeah, yeah. I said, okay. So I just, I didn't ask more questions. And what I did is that I was in my little RV, so I just camped by the gas station, wait till that opened in the morning, and had enough gas to start her up and put her in by the pumps and filled her up. So I got her filled up, Betsy, the RV I have, not this one, another one. And so I said, good. Now I'm going to go back and get a coffee and some donuts from Tim Hortons. So I pulled out from the gas station to backtrack because I knew it was 2 kilometers out because it was right at the sign that said the little town was 2 kilometers. So I said, it's only 2 kilometers out of town. I'll backtrack a couple kilometers. That's nothing. So I go back about a couple kilometers. It's all trees because I'm up in northern Ontario, and I keep driving for 3 or 4 kilometers, and I'm saying, um, I know this was right on the outskirts of this town, and I did think it was odd, right, where the town was so small to have a strip mall. So I drove to a shore. I went up the road about 10 kilometers, about 6 miles. It's all woods. So there's no strip mall there. And then I flew in and I said, okay, Father, I said, what happened? And, that's when he said, okay, you were on another timeline, on another dimension. And so again, I could enter those then, and I can
yeah,
as well. But
yeah,
what's occurring, what we're doing now, is we're bringing down the 5D grid so that we can have access, walk in and out of it at will. And this is the difference.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
what you shared and what the other lady, what I just shared with you, are only 2 instances of it. I know there is more out there. We just not have heard of it yet, but I know there are other instances because it is the 5D grid being brought down, overlaid, and so you and the other lady are just two confirmations of that. And also, in respect to that, I knew what was going on with a lot of prep work for that, what we had did back in December with several ladies opening uh, December right up to now, opening portals, and also we were locking in the grid, the Japan quake. As I mentioned, that was crucial to lock in Tokyo area with the grid, but over southeast U.S. Where you had what you have transformers and things, electrical storms, things blowing up there, and also up New York, and also here where I am at, where I locked it in, what I shared with, the huge bang and big light here that night was the lock-in sequence as well. So we knew what we were doing is we're more so like we're attaching the 5D grid, which is
Yeah.
another reality which just lays above this reality that when conditions are right, it can just drop down in and it changes the whole reality here. It may not, I shouldn't say it changes the whole reality. It's just that little things are different. Like, like you're saying, you might have a bank here and where it was none on the other timelines. So what we are doing in respect to this is also in conjunction, with your vibration, keep high so more of you can keep accessing these because they are up in a higher frequency where you need a higher vibration to access them because they are above the 4D.
Yeah.
So you need to go up here, and the key is to keep your vibration high so that you can access this new 5D overlay that we're putting in to try to keep it simple.
Yeah. Well, that's why I thought I could see it the other day because I was flying high the other day. That's why I thought, oh, I'd surely see it. Right. But I didn't. But I saw something else that was there.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you what it was, but it was not, the whole building was not the massage place.
Yeah. So the way I would look at this and what's occurring is individuals' introduction to that it is possible, that it is there, and it's just not the divine timing for us to more fully access those sort of services yet. But it's important. It's being shown to. It's being shown to ones of you to also share it with the others that it is a reality and to inform them, as you said, and pay attention, like we said, and when those anomalies occur, go into them and whatever information you can bring back, then bring back to the others as well, and keep sharing all the experiences with us. But it's just not divine timing yet because there is the overall divine plan that is this 5D as well that you're part of. So you may be experiencing, as I said, certain parts of it, but just to my knowledge, not yet. But we are getting very close to perhaps accessing the financial means from those higher timelines and dimensions.
Well, I'm going to take a picture next time. Well, actually, I'm going to go in the bank and have him take a picture of me in front of the bank. So,
well, let's say if your phone's tweaked up, if your phone has been galactically tweaked up, you might take a picture. It might be there in the picture. Yeah, I'm serious.
Yeah, I know you are. So am I.
Like look at Danny's phone. Here are all of the pictures. She's getting of this one plasma ship, and it's just amazing. When you stop it, you can actually see screens. You saw Jesus and Mother Mary there in it. It's just so many beautiful things. So and
it's incredible.
Phone, and it was comical. Her other new phone she got, it was. She showed me. She said, "Look, Rick," and she showed me the plasma ship through that phone, and all it showed was what you would think is a white star. It was that. Yeah. So
and her new phone showed all that. Yeah.
Her old phone is the one that's tweaked up and allowed to show it, and also what Gina Colvin. I believe that's her last name, Gina Colvin. She's been taking fantastic pictures of all of the different fleets are here, all of the ships and all of this.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was in Texas. That was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was, it was a whole sea full of ships. I mean, a whole sky full of ships.
Yeah. And all she has is, just some sort of simple phone, but she's capturing it. But her
Yeah.
phone is not simple, and she's allowed to share this divinely. So she's designated as one of those that are allowed to share these things. And Victoria Linwen Lowengens or Lowengist. Sorry,
Victoria.
Victoria. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, her amazing work. I'm
Lindquist.
trying.
Lindquist. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, you do it better. Yeah, I'm trying to
Lindquist.
pronounce her last name, but yeah, look at the amazing photos with the Merkava ships that she's taking, and
Yeah.
how they're coming closer, and it is very real as well. But with that, the other ones that are in 4D and not awakened, they do not see these things because for several reasons. Their consciousness, their pineal gland is not open to that degree. Their eyesight is not multidimensionally adjusted yet. And also, there's some that are not supposed to see these. So they would just look up at the night sky and just see stars, what they think is stars. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So this stuff is really real, is what we're saying. This is not like it
And we're
is really
documenting
happening. Yeah.
indeed, yeah.
Definitely. Well, I want to talk because you were talking a little bit about the RVs. Well, you mentioned it because there's some bank shutdowns across the country. You want to talk about that?
Well,
And do you want to talk?
what I wish to share is just, some of the reports, some of the feedback I am getting. Now, again, I wish to say I have really no concrete confirmation that we can share yet that the RV is in fruition here, but everything is being compounded that it's looking like. What we are finding, and we're just doing some feeling around that we're seeing that, let me say, the reports I'm getting that I believe in Colorado, at least it might be all of the banks, I'm uncertain, in Colorado, or maybe certain ones that have gone digital, and that is a prerequisite as well for part of the new system. Wells Fargo, I believe on both coasts, they had interruptions over the last week or so with being closed or having difficulties, I believe, with electronic transactions. Having said that, Sharon Piccola put a post out that she got a notification from her bank, not sure which bank it is, that it will be shut down for 2 days, closed for 2 days in about maybe a week's time. I just forget the dates. She had put a post out about it, to ask others about were they experiencing things with the bank. So that one was sharing what she had shared. I believe that's an important one. And again, just Friday evening, I believe it was Danny and Helen here. They tried to access their accounts, and it said it was temporarily offline as well. So what you're seeing, you could look at these as coincidences or just regular maintenance. But when you see a lot of these different banks, all at the one time, and they will tell you, though, the banks, even on the 4D, that they are upgrading to new systems. And so that is also part of it as well. So what you're seeing is things are occurring with the banks. And, Trump, one of the prerequisites, and they had said this a long time ago, for the ones with the RV and with the currencies, the different ones that in Jasera and Nasera, two different ones. One's Canada and one's U.S. and globally, I guess, too, for all intents and purposes. But with these, one of the prerequisites is what many have said, what they call the conspiracy theorists, when several years ago, what they said, one of the things that would need to be implemented to bring about this great currency reset in the a gold backed currency would be a national emergency announced by the US. So what we have seen with Trump, that has come to fruition. But not only that, there are so many contributing factors that are all in alignment again with what had to occur. Very quickly, if you look back at JFK and all of the approaches that he had did before his assassination to uh, free Americans in the least, but his overall plan was to globally do it. But where he was beginning was to get rid of the Federal Reserve, you know, at least lessen or eliminate the IRS to a degree. And what he also accomplished was printing a currency that was silver backed. And he actually had denominations, low denominations of bills out there. I believe it might have, some other viewers might know more about this, but I believe it was maybe tens and 20 denominations, small bills that he began to put out there. And he had also, John F. K., he had made a huge a speech about the press as well at that time, more or less telling the press, stop reporting the fake news and report the truth, and we are for the people. So you see the identical same thing what Trump is constantly given to the people, the fake news, because the mainstream media, was controlled, and I'll say was because they are no longer when you see what is actually occurring. But not only that, what you do see as well with Trump is the executive orders that he had signed in preparation to bring back, let's say, to America, any of the huge elite criminals to face the crimes. And by signing that executive order, yes, he can bring them back. If they did business in the US, they have to come back there to stand trial. But, that's kind of irrelevant. What is currently occurring, what I am told, and we know that this is concrete, we know it's concrete about the sealed indictments, but what I am, some information not confirmed, is that there are trials, military tribunals have already begun on some of these sealed indictments. And I do believe that to be true to the fullest extent because of the reason of that, the extensive crime and enslavement that occurred, it is being dealt with, and that is not fiction, and that is not fancy thinking or imagination. It is very real. And again, look at it must be maybe it's over 70,000 sealed indictments, like the first time in history that I believe in U.S. history that there was ever that many. And this tells you the extent of the crimes that are going to be at least revealed, and justice is going to prevail over them. And this is in the 4D as well to secure it. And so again, this is not fictitious at all. It is a reality. So when you put all the signs together, it's pointing that at this very time we are there for the RV, and I must say again openly that Father said to me, and I always trust in my divine information, that he said that it is imminent that we will experience that timeline. And everything I'm seeing is that it's possibly could be here now, because I'm also getting some reports that these currencies are live in some areas, let's say, in Europe, Middle East, and China and Singapore or Hong Kong, what have you. So it's a lot of the stuff again that once thought was conspiracy theory. Hey, no,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
it's very substantiated and looks like, yeah, it's here now. But nevertheless, there are multiple timelines. I do know playing out, as we said. We have the 5D overlay grid that, for what I'm given, is an access to the QFS. While meanwhile, you have another timeline that's in between us and the QFS that we can bypass or go back and forth. That holds the reevaluation and the reset of currencies and resetting the currencies all to par, which needs to come. And with that, when they're all set to par, then there is wealth equality is distributed very quickly as well. But also some reports is that we have the Nacera and Jacera instruments, but we also have so many more uh, different humanitarian projects that are also hinged upon the monetary system to various degrees, which also all appear that they may all come online here, at once, because we also know that there are huge stores of funds that are available, and it's very possible these all can be accessed at these times too. So there's so many things playing out with that, but it's looking concrete, Linda, and I have to go with it. And what Father's saying, he's not giving me a date, but as I said before, he said, yeah, it is. It's imminent.
Yeah. Well, and it seems too that like it would have to be strategically all really kind of placed. You know what I mean? Like the transition, because Trump did mention a gold back monetary a dollar, or I don't know if it was a dollar, but he did mention something about gold back.
Gold back,
So
asset backed currency.
yes, yes, yes. So I just
Now,
think that there's things that have to play out before, I mean, you've got all the stuff going on in Gitmo, and so, um, yeah. So I just
let,
think there's just things that have to play out.
let me say something that is not out there in the public realm yet, is that but this is in the public realm, that Trump has been in communication with China. And,
Yes.
he also put that little thing out there in the address the other night in the emergency, declaring the emergency. Now, this little thing with China, see what you had before, you had an exit of China out of the treasury bonds of the US. And in reality, the way economics went, the US was bankrupt several years ago. And Russia and China had actually owned the US because by simple economics, and just to keep it simple, virtually the US had sold itself out. Uh, the way economics and accounting and things work, if you want to get into forensics and actually showing where things actually went and where they did not, and very quickly with a forensic audit on the whole US, what you would have found, and also of the banks, that there had to be two sets of books, which it is. And there is for the banks, because what's occurring with the banks, no, okay, I won't go there. I got to get back on track. Okay, so Trump and China, that is very important. Now here's Trump and China, but here's another important thing, that every precious metal resource upon the planet, not being excavated, so being in situ, meaning being still within the ground, can be delineated. It could be delineated since 1962, that the technology was available on the surface. And what I mean by delineating a resource, that they merely did not have to mine it, that they could put one drill hole into it just to assure and ascertain that it is gold, or the composition, the grade of silver or gold or what have you. Then what they can quickly do through kriging methods, what's used in the industry, but that's kind of outdated, primitive. What you can actually do is you can, through geophysics, you can actually delineate in a resource how many ounces of gold is there. But not only with that, you can do this with large reserves of oil or anything. The technology is here, it has been here to delineate it. And, again, one of the biggest things with Afghanistan is that they flew all over that, the US. They knew and they know that it's mineral rich. And, that's why a lot of the things occurred with Afghanistan and the Gulf War, and in Iraq, and these certain things, because it's all about these sort of deposits. But now, to get back on track, in Peru, there is a huge gold find that, let's say, the IMF, let's say China, let's say Canada, let's say the US, let's say all of the BRIC countries, which is Russia, China, India, South Africa, we call them the BRICS now, in India, they were trying to set up currency, but there's a huge gold find, which is enormous, in Peru, that has not been excavated. It has been more or less stolen from shareholders to back and fund. Well, it can literally be a bullion backing for a global monetary system. It's that huge.
Wow.
But not only that, there's another one, and some of the viewers might be interested in this. There was what they called the Prowess scam up in Canada. Several years ago, a lot of investors lost a lot of money. And there was a very unusual, shady circumstances surrounding that. But to keep the story short, this Prowess, and it was in Burma. Where was it at? It's been so long. Burma? Over, let's say, in Indonesia, anyway. I just, for whatever reason, it's escaped me the location. But this Prowess was supposedly had found, a huge gold find, maybe 70 million ounces or what have you, which is huge.
Yeah.
But what occurred with it is that there was a whole bunch of funny things that happened that said that they salted the drill results and that it was a scam. So what occurred in Barrick Gold is they were part of this, and Barrick Gold, let me say, is one of the biggest criminals that was upon the planet. The whole structure, Peter Monk and the works, the CEO and of that. But let me say, with that, Prowess in the Indonesian government, with Barrick Gold in the Indonesian government, covered up a huge gold find there as well. And let me say that resource is still there in the ground. And I had the liberty to speak with John, the head geologist of that company that had found it. And one thing, he would not say too much, but he said, Rick, there is gold there. But the circumstances, what more or less what happened is that one of the geologists that was part of the company, he accidentally fell, they said, from a helicopter over Brazil somewhere, which, no, he was forced out of it, more or less, and the scene. What they were doing was, in Prowess is a very real, huge gold deposit, but through governments and what have you, they made it look like a scam to secure that resource and take it
Yeah.
offline. So heaven said this, I just gave you two instances. There's many. Africa's full of gold as well. There is enough. What they can do today, they do not have to mine the gold, take it out of the ground, nor any precious metals like platinum, palladium, well, platinum and silver. They don't need to take it out of the ground and have it in a vault. If if all of if the biggest leaders in biggest countries around the globe, if they accept that the industry is able to delineate a gold resource in the ground, if that's accepted to leave it there, then they can base a currency upon that. So, meaning they don't need to excavate it or extract it. They can leave it in the ground because they have the precise technology that tells them. So, I mean, what's the difference if you have 100 million ounces of gold in a vault or in the ground?
Yeah.
It's most
It's just the
important
location.
at this time and what occurred with Gaia to not remove these deposits because also they have huge electrical charges while they are in the ground. And they also are what holds Gaia at a certain tilt to the sun and also keeps her in her certain orbit, but also it keeps her stable as well. And your ley lines, when anyone doing grid work, your ley lines, these huge deposits, and also with oil, these they all contain electrical charges while they're in Gaia in the ground, and that's to keep Gaia stable. So what had occurred prior to 2012, the mining that had occurred around the planet had disrupted these energetic ley lines, which keeps Gaia in place. And prior to 2012, Gaia did pole reversal. She did flip, but everyone was transported to a 4D timeline. And we are here to rectify different things that occurred then and to keep things going forward. But the extraction of minerals and fossil fuels is detrimental to the stability of Gaia. And this is why you are going to see as well very quickly here in the future, 1212, you're going to see to see the swift transition away from fossil fuels and away from the need of mining. You are also going to see higher technologies released to the planet.
Talk about that.
And, Trump has already signed to release 6,000 patents of technology, that was covered up. So there's a lot of good stuff in that to come out. And, the energy that we know is there. And so you are going to be very rapidly, we are technologically advanced, into quite an exciting era as well. But you're no longer going to need the fossil fuels, everything. The technology has been here, as I said, for almost 110 years, I believe, that you do not need gas and oil consumption for engines. You have the anti-gravity engines that are made up, propulsion systems, I should say, that's made up of magnets and electricity, and you can make currents that just support that you don't need fuel. It's pretty basic and pretty simple. And not so long ago, I put out a post about a levitating light, right? To show some of the technology where a light bulb, it has the base, but it levitates up about that far from the base and comes on. There's a current attached. You don't see it, but it's actually levitating there, and it's a light bulb on that has no wires to it or anything, and it just that's only a smidgen and a a primitive introduction to the actual technology that is here upon the surface.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. So I want to go back. So that's why with the whole thing with Trump and China is because of the gold that's buried, or because of the minerals?
Okay, the thing is that a lot of this is playing out. This huge gold find is in Peru, but it's
Yeah,
not the only one. But it is huge, and it can sustain. Uh, it can sustain a currency. So having
right.
said that, very quickly, let's say if Trump, the way things are setting up, that it's quite possible that upon worldly acceptance, that without removing that gold from the ground, that yes, a currency can be based on it in the matter of flicking your fingers or the blink of an eye, if it's approved by the other uh, leaders as well. So very efficiently and very quickly, Trump does not need to run around and look for gold, because there is very little, and he
Yeah,
does not need to collect it all. There is more, as I said, than enough, and almost, I would say it could be uh, possibly enough in this gold resource. It could possibly be enough to fund a small world currency as well, or to back it. So, having
yeah,
said that, what I'm sharing with the viewers, one possibility, and just showing how quickly that Trump doesn't need the gold in its hands, just as long as that uh, delineation of uh, of that resource is accepted by the world, then very quickly. Now there will
but is
be
that
ownership. There will be ownership. Uh, Things with it that can be worked out. There would be royalties as well, and there would need to be, sort of agreements signed with Peru through trade negotiations. But what I will say, in the past, if anyone was to look back, they would see that a nefarious attempt by Harper and Obama uh, at trying to do something else with this gold find has been foiled. But if you were to look back, you would see that they had made interesting trips to Peru in the past, but that's been thwarted. What they were going to
yeah,
do, it was not for the
it was
good of
all
all.
intent. Yeah. So, but so he needs China's consent. Is that why that's so important? Because China doesn't have anything to do with Peru,
What I'm
or does it?
saying is that this is a possibility, and
Okay, so he
let
needs his consent.
but in the present, or in Peru, you have many big mining companies like Newmont is in there, the International Monetary Fund. You have Bonavista's in there. Uh, the International Monetary Fund actually owns part of Newmont and part of the resources that are there in Peru in these gold mines. Like Peru is actually about the second richest uh, gold nation upon the planet, and there is,
Wow.
a lot of gold there. There's a lot of mining companies from the U.S., from Canada, and also Europe. Yeah, just the big company from Europe. I know its name, but it's been so long. They are also there. So what you have is that you actually it's not the way that it was given to you to be, that actually all leaders, world leaders, knew about this. All politicians, they have a certain knowledge of how things really work, where you have different mining companies in different countries. There are secret trade agreements and deals that never met the light of day, but during also this ascension and what's being revealed, a lot of this also will come out. And with that, anything that was ever written or done on the internet, on a computer, it always exists. It doesn't matter. It is always there. meaning that every encrypted file, every onion file that the way banks used to use them uh, to transfer money, to money launder, and all of this ridiculous things. All of that is accessible. The encryption codes do not matter when you have the master key, and everything it can be revealed. And if you look at WikiLeaks, what they reveal about Hillary Clinton and with the emails and various other things. And, if you look at some of the groups like Anonymous, if you will, they are able to hack in and to access all of this. And nothing is hidden and nothing can remain hidden. It doesn't matter if you have the highest security to protect an internet or a subnet or a tornet. It doesn't matter if you have the highest security to protect it, because it's always found out how to breach the highest security. So you can never win at the game for any preventative measures that they wish to take. So it is very interesting and with what's going on. But what I wanted to bring up is that it's very possible that Trump could haul out of his back pocket and accept it globally, gold resource that they say, okay, here's a what have you, it's many million ounces or a billion ounces even, and that would fully accommodate and fully back a new currency, meaning that then you don't need the feds because you've got this huge thing. You don't need their money. You don't need that because you're able to issue a currency on this huge, but that's not the only one. But on this one huge one, there's enough there to back a huge currency. But it's not.
So how would you use that currency then? It won't be in dollar form, will it? Or will it be in card form? It'll be all digital.
Yeah, so what they do, you have a huge gold resource. It's just like having gold in your vault, and there is a market value or an estimated value, how much currency you can print off of that. So, for example, if just for simplicity's sake, let's say you have $1 million worth of gold here, that means you can print $1 million for your economy, whatever you're going to do with it. Then you usually kept it circulating. They did through taxes and other things, but all of this is corrupt. Still, it was a corrupt system. But what I'm saying for Trump, to very quickly accommodate and appease the situation in conjunction with the RV, yes, that he can draw on that as well. And also, if you look at your RV, the Zimbabwe bonds, and their resources, again, this is in Africa, their resources is vast as well. And again, there shouldn't have been no way, if everything was just, that these countries would have their currencies devaluated to almost nothing. And so in the times of correction, it has to be considered, if one country is going to begin to base their currency or part of a currency on an in situ resource, then that means all of the other countries can as well. So it'll be a universal, but again, it'll only be a transitory thing, perhaps. Now, I'm not saying this is so, but let's say I highly suspect the theory I just put out, because it makes perfect sense. It can be done in the blink of an eye, and it is very real, and the technology to do that, to delineate resources in the ground, has been out for many years, and it's totally accurate.
Yeah, I love it. It's awesome. Well, thanks for that information. Wow, that was pretty cool. Oh, let's get it on. Let's just do this, right? So, there's one last point. Do you want to talk on the? Oh no, there's a light languages. You want to talk about the light languages
Oh
and
yeah,
the fairies and the fairies. So we can kind of probably blend those somehow.
yeah. Very quickly, but can I be excused again for a second? The energy. I'll be right back.
Yes, yes,
Thank you.
yes, yes. You're welcome. Thank you. Matthew, why are you? Thanks for taking a sip of water. Did I feel like I needed water or something? I know I have my whole gallon here. Oh, this is really exciting. So, I don't know if any of you guys, I'm sure a lot of people watched the whole Trump's announcement of the national emergency, and yeah, it was pretty interesting. So, we are going to do. I don't know if we'll do questions or not. He's going to talk a little bit about this. We might do a half an hour of questions. We'll see what he wants to do. Thanks for everybody who's just joining in, who's come in, who hasn't been in earlier when we first started at 7. We appreciate you being here. And we've talked about a lot of different things. So, yeah, a lot of good stuff about the banks, some banking shutdowns, things like that. Talked about the Kundalini. I'm in for that one. I need to talk to Rick about that now. Anyway, so thanks for everybody who's tuning in. So, okay, so I told him that we're going to talk about the light languages and the fairies, and then maybe a half an hour of because it will be at 3 hours. Do you want to do maybe another half an hour for the questions?
Yeah, if you're game, I am. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally am. Yeah, I think we might have some questions anyway. So, yes.
The fairies in the light language, we can just that'd be really short. What I wish to say about the fairies, what is occurring is that the dragon energy, the white dragon energy, is within the collective. So many have that, but what's attached with that? And again, I was not given this beforehand, but these sort of things occur. So what's attached with the dragon is also a fairy. So what's occurring, many of you will begin to find that ones of you that is accessing the dragon energy, utilizing it, and everyone to various degrees. The ones that are using it know it's real, and they are familiar with it. But there is a fairy attached to that as well. So what I'm saying is, all of you have fairies as well. It's your choice if you wish to begin to identify with your fairy to establish a relationship. But let me say that this is all very real as well, but it's part of the real magic that we are bringing back because of these unprecedented times. So yeah, all of you have a fairy, so whatever you wish to do with it. Now, one thing is comical. I'm finding they have their own character, and it's let me say, I didn't anticipate some fairies, being kind of like
Having an attitude.
Thank you, with an attitude. Yeah, yeah. I didn't anticipate that being there. It's hilarious, of course, because I have no qualms with anything, but and I love it, and but yeah, so some fairies may have an attitude, and it may depend upon you as well, but it may not. What I'm seeing, no, it seems like. Well, no, it doesn't seem like it is that a fairy has their own identity. So, which is very cool. Yeah. So I'd wish to touch on that. I am seeing more. There's cool things happening that we can leave for another show. There was a couple of amusing experiences I had, but I don't wish to get into that right now. But what I can say, it's very real. It's very fun. It's comical at times for I and others. But with the light language, Let me say that there is not one light language, as many of you are knowing that there are many, and there are more and more popping up every day. And now, with this light language, essentially what it is that you have existed for all time. Your consciousness, your energetic form, it never dies. So for you, it exists for all time. And now, meaning or having said that, you've also had existences in other places. Each ones were given the information that Sirius was a destination one time, Arcturus and Pleiadian, what have you. So what is occurring now as part of your memory with this ascension and getting your memory back? You are remembering these other existences. And as you remember them, attributes from these other existences come in. For instance, like light language, that is one attribute. But the thing is, when part of your existence from another, when that comes in, what occurs is that it's just not only the light language that comes with it, because you have opened up that energetic memory thread to that time. So not only does the light language come, but any gifts you might have had in that time. So if you were on Sirius and let's say you could levitate, that gift also comes in with that as well. And if you're telepathic, like a Pleiadian or what have you, and when you open up that aspect, that gift comes with it too. So it's not only what I'm saying that is it's just not the light language when you began speaking it, and there are many because you have had many existences, many of you, and so meaning that there are going to be all kinds of dialects and different languages in that respect. But what I am saying is for ones that begin to speak it, to recognize that there's also uh, gifts, powers that you have that are attached from, if you wish to look at that era. And also, in conjunction with that, with your light language, as you know, it's also connected to your ships. For some of you that have brought your ships into this reality, that it's all interconnected, and you are bringing in higher aspects of you across time and space. Because what we are, uh, time and space is, it does not exist. You can transcend all of that, and we're on our way back to those abilities again, and it's quite amazing what has occurred. So yeah, with the light language, there are many. There are new ones coming on because there have been many existences, and you will see new languages coming as well.
Yeah. Well, I just want to say too that I think, just to put it out there, that, and I know everybody's that's tuning in, anything's possible. Anything
Everything.
is possible. Yes. Yeah. Just so, I mean, you think about we look at the Matrix, or we look at the Walt Disney's and all of that, these magical stories, and, you've got the Avatar, you've got the Wrinkle in Time. I mean, a lot of stuff. Like, it's kind of like the Beatles. I mean, back in the 60s, yeah, 60s. I mean, the Beatles had it all together, I mean, they knew something that was more futuristic, right? So, I mean, I know I'm kind of jumping around, but I just really want to say that everything is possible. There's nothing that is not real, that cannot be, and so, in the light.
But what's occurring, in this time is many are seeing that they are able to magically manifest, like that was not here before, because that is part, to the degree it is now, because this is part of the ascension. But with that, as you're saying, you also create from the imagination, but you create real things from that. And and it's about your belief as well as how you create. So yes, that's why you can the stronger you become, you're able to create real things into the reality.
Yes. Well, and everything began with a thought. So just remember that.
Mm-hmm.
Everything began with a thought. You know what I mean? If you can look back when God, created the whole earth, everything began, with the thought of the desire and the wanting. So let's create great stuff. So awesome. Yay. All right.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to share? We'll go into Q&A.
The only thing I wish to say, that's also, with creation, that's why it's so important to know that there was bad guys here on the 4D, but don't focus on that. You want to keep
No.
focused on the magic and the higher things that is absent of bad guys. So you're more efficient
Yeah.
and get out of this quicker by focusing on the good harmonious things you want rather than
Yeah.
focus on the mundane paradigm that is you're currently seeing as well. You don't need to energize it, so just observe it neutrally and say, "Nope, I'm going there." Where the magic is at. I don't need
Yeah.
none of this. It's all imploding. It's dissolving, and just don't energize.
Exactly.
That's what it's about.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely not to engage and just, go the opposite. Yeah, for sure. Okay. You want to go to Q&A? You ready?
Yeah, I'm the girl. If you were.
All right. Anybody have any questions? We'll do one question at a time. Somehow my little scrolly thing doesn't ever want to go. I don't know. I got to talk to a tech person about this. So,
I had the same with
so
the last live I did. I attempted that night. I tried to get you, but you were in bed for to be my host.
oh,
And I did a live, and
I
I
saw the
tried,
replay.
yeah, I tried to answer questions, but it would not work right. And it was just,
Yeah. Once that feed goes, it's gone. So I'm
yeah.
like, okay.
But
Oh,
can you
so
click on a question and freeze it? I thought about that later. If you see a question right quick, click on it. See if that'll freeze it, maybe.
okay. I'll try and do that and see if it does.
Uncertain if it'll work.
Oh,
That's one thing I was contemplating trying.
okay. Well, let's just see. Because it's so, like, it does. Yes. Okay. Does anybody have any questions? We are going to take Q&A for about another half an hour. I don't really see any. There might. No, I don't see anything yet. There might have been earlier, but we were in conversation.
Well,
You
this
guys
is
have any
perfect.
questions?
If no one has any questions, that means we're there. Awesome.
Exactly. Oh, okay. Wayne has a question. Can you elaborate about the portals on our property?
Um, Let me say in general, Wayne, you identified them, you know they're there. Keep connecting to them and keep powering them up in whatever way you can in virtue, and keep the portals energized and virtuous in good ways. And whatever you feel compelled or intuitively to do, trust that and follow it. And for anyone else that you said on quote our unquote property. So if you have a partner or what have you, and children, um, let them all know that they are there and that they are going to perhaps keep amplifying, and they're very magical as well. I am not going to get specific in looking at the current functions or the efficiency of your portal, but just, generally, Wayne, you and your family or what have you there has the power to just keep amplifying it, and it's in doing that, and have fun with it as well. Laughter and having fun is very good as well. If that
Yes. Thank
does it.
you, Wayne, for that question. And I know Matthew had a question, but Matthew, it just it got buried. So I know we have some other questions here too. So Matthew, you might have to repost that. Let me just see if I can get back up here. Anything about the full moon?
No, not not really from my perspective. For what I do and what I go by, unless I was given something. But other than it's a super moon, and it does affect other individuals. But I'm affected all the time by all the energies. So, but for some, it is a powerful moon again, and everyone that has their beliefs and part of their guidance comes from that. It sounds like it's going to be amplified too. So that is great.
Yeah, awesome. I'm still trying to get there. Shoot. Annabelle, Matthew, I can't find yours. Annabelle, I saw a huge bird in the sky, a big dark brown bird in the sky 7 times the size of a bald eagle, and a plane flew by, and the wingspan was longer than the width of the airplane. And what was this? A big mystical bird? Was this a big mystical bird?
I'm receiving something about that, Annabelle. It's causing right now a little bit of uncertainty how I was going to respond to that. I'm trying to find the. Let me just say that that's very, very interesting. That it's very interesting that
Yeah.
any answer to that has been more or less kind of blocked. And I was going to say something, but I'm told not to even say that. So
maybe.
I just I really will not give an answer to that right now. Sorry, Annabelle, but that's what I'm getting from headquarters.
And would you say, just to follow her, what is intuitively what she feels with that? Would you say that? That's what I kind of feel, is that whatever.
That's what I was going to say, but I was told no, so we can't.
Oh,
So something else up with this.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That
nix
is,
that.
one of my responses, but this time I'm told no. So
Okay.
I'm allowed to say this. Just keep us up to date, and just if you get information, perhaps you can let us know.
Yes. Okay. I'm trying to get to your question. There's so many things that are coming in that I just can't get to it. Let me go back up to the top here. Hold on, Rick. This is so slow. Okay, you did the portals on the property. Wayne said thank you. And so I can't understand. Oh, geez, I just had it. Something about Matthews in Montana. I can't understand if this is real or it's been such a long platform. I don't know what that means, Matthew. Yeah, I can't get to it. It keeps jumping, so I can't get to that question. Sorry, Matthew, I can't get to your question. The light language. What is the advice on the light language? And I can tell you who the person is, but get there.
The advice on the light language is to let everything flow and be the conduit to it. And once you start speaking light language, pay close attention to everything you do and what occurs around you and the energy, because you may also begin to find that, as I mentioned before, there's other gifts that could be coming with this, and you'd most graciously wish to identify those as soon as possible. So, be very aware when you start speaking the light language, and the more you let it flow, the stronger you also build it. So I suggest, again, keep practicing and experimenting with it to learn as much, as quickly as possible on it.
Awesome. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Annabelle, well, she said that, well, Annabelle said thank you too for
You're
her
welcome.
question on bird. Okay. We gotta figure this out, Rick. This whole thing is
Yeah. So if you just click on one, does it stop it and isolate it? Doesn't.
No, it doesn't. Yeah. Let's see. I'm gonna go right to the top, you guys, because it just jumps. What about the light codes? What we already talked about.
Light codes. More so, what I call light codes are.
Oh yeah, just seeing that.
Mostly comes through the photon energy. Mostly comes from the sun. Is where that comes from. So. It does activate, does trigger things as well, and it's all part of the process, but it's in conjunction with the overall vibration in the collective as well. So when the collective is ready, then more light codes, if you will, are administered to the collective as a whole on different degrees and different levels. Pertaining to the individual's growth and development. I will say that what I put out a post prior here tonight, actually I put out two. One is about the current sunspot. I was given the information that could result into what they call a hydra flare, which will emit a huge CME of photonic energy, which you could call light energy. And when these events occur, it's usually to empower and power up the angelics with a higher vibration and frequency, but to also strengthen and further enhance their already abilities that they have. And it's also a sort of a cue that something, when this occurs, it's also a cue for perhaps, let's say, in the least, a shift or a leap forward. If it's a huge magnitude, it could signify or indicate a huge leap forward in the collective.
Wow. Love that.
Also, I put out at this time, while you're looking for another question, I was instructed to put out earlier today. I just received it earlier today that at this time, what I'm given is that within 24 hours, but that was a few hours ago, that there may be a significant quake in the Strait of Georgia between Vancouver and Vancouver Island, and that it is possible that there could be a 3 to 4 foot tsunami generated as a result. And I was also given at the same time, and I put this out in a post, that the Pacific Rim will become very, over the next several days, very active and a little bit more active. I believe the wording, it might be extensive, I believe was the wording that they wanted me to use. But also in that, I'm given that any destruction, if it does occur, will be minimal. And as far as what I'm given, I do not see any impact on life. So I'm just saying I did let a couple friends know in that area that, just have no fear, they're okay where they're at. But in conjunction with this, several days ago, I just received one message, 2 words. It said high ground. And
Oh.
at that time, what I did, and that was several days ago, I said, okay, I said, high ground, are you meaning an earthquake? And at that time, they said, really know that it meant higher ground for the collective that they were covering, going up higher. So that's what it was at that time. So it was ascertained. It wasn't a message for I to go to higher ground at that time. But I found this most interesting today because I had left Colleen's and I was visiting her, and I was on my way here to Danny's, roughly a half-hour drive, and I'm driving, and all of a sudden, boom, transmission come in, and I start questioning it. I said, okay, am I getting this right? And yeah, they said, it's right. And even before I put the messages out there earlier tonight, I said, okay, Father, you want me to put it out? He said, yes. So I put those messages out. And again, I don't really hesitate, but on this one, I did kind of hesitate and wanted more reassurance because I did not want to, let's say, spread any fear, with that. So, but I was instructed to put it out that it may be, but actually, what I'm saying is, in what I was given, that it, it that it can very likely happen. Yeah.
Well,
So yeah, you got another question?
I've got 3, but the feed kind of went down. Sun, moon, how can I connect to the dragons and fairies? Thank you, Sun.
Well, with any of this, and anything with this ascension and connecting to angels, archangels, and benevolent beings, the key is to be open and to verbally ask for it. Just say, I'm open to be connected with the elemental realm, for example, where the fairies exist, or I'm open to my dragon even. But say it out loud and say it in your most comfortable place, which would be, in the least, your portal, and that's going to give it the best boost. And just remain open, have no expectations.
Yes, love that. Thank you.
That is,
I think you
and
froze.
just
Oh, you did. You froze up. I thought you were done. Sorry.
yeah, no, just remain open to it, but voice it
Okay.
out loud.
Out loud.
That's
Yes.
important because your voice is a very important energy that does affect things as well. You can think it, but let me say your voices, and this has occurred several months ago, that your throat has been changed as well to more enhance your voice to the higher harmonics and to actually interacting and engaging with the energy on a higher level than before. And some of you will notice you had voice changes, and this is part of the reason why as well. So it's been changed. So it's very important.
That leads into our next question. I've had this language and sounds and tones and unknown words that have streamed through me since I was a teenager, and I have instant access to it. It has gotten more present to me and evolved in the last year. This is Aja. I feel things and see things like a vision when I sing. We sing it, but how do I know if this is light language? Thank you, Aja. And I hope that answered your question, son. Ask for it.
Well, actually, Aja, with this, I'm getting a very strong confirmation on you and your prowess, and more so, I'm getting the significance also of your connection. And what I suggest is to share everything you get with that, with as many as you feel comfortable to share with them, but also to rapidly accept everything and to develop it and don't question it. Let it come. It does not matter how ridiculous it may sound or what have you. You must remember that it's coming from another existence, but it's very real. Anything coming from those areas, uh, your other essences and your other existences, is very real, and it also needs to come into this now to, let's say, see the timelines before we move further. So what you have in the past is, with anything, when new technologies in the past, for example, on a mundane level, when new technologies are discovered, the actual process of that is that the information is seeded in there, and then the technology is built upon to make it so. So, having said this, your gifts work in that same way, and it's important to embrace them fully, to not discredit them one bit, to not question them, and to trust them because they are from another higher place. And do not try to apply human logic nor rationale to it. Do not make a judgment on it because, for the simple reason, if you do, you're making that from a humanoid state that does not understand the full dynamics of what it is. And a humanoid state is primitive to these gifts, as you know. So you need to be fully open and have the highest perspective and allowance of any of these gifts that come to you, no matter how absurd and crazy they may seem to someone that's not awakened or even someone that's awakened. Trust them fully and keep taking them forward. It's so very important for this now, and for the designation that you have.
Awesome. Thank you, Aja, for that question. Thanks for.
Yeah, thank you, Aja. I feel uh, I feel such a great energy from her. Aisha, that's not Aisha North, is it?
Uh-uh.
No, okay.
Aja Dimatera. Sorry if I'm botching up your name.
Okay, yeah, from North Carolina, I believe. Yeah, awesome question. No wonder I believe that. Yeah. She's an amazing. I get so many messages but there are some new powerful ones popping up, and she is one.
Woo.
Yeah.
Good. Way to go. All right. And Linda has a. Huh?
We're all being connected. It's the tribes coming together in the unity, and it's just so beautiful. And
Yeah.
really, I get swamped, Linda, and there's I have so many messages, and I try to answer some of my messages, and but also I am also creating on the other side where I'm offline on my phone working with certain individuals, and we're on the phone for hours, doing other divine work as well. That really in the run on linear time, in the run of a day, I'd be working 85 hours a day if I was for everything. So that's just to let the viewers know. I love every one of you and I appreciate you, but I'm here on linear time, and so far I only see one of me here. It'd be great to have more to help out, but anyways, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah. Well, you're here to help and help raise the planetary ascension. Help the angels to raise their vibration and help with the planetary ascension. So
and we all are.
It's quite a job. Yeah. We all are in it together for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, like Father reminded me the other day. Yeah, he said, "He who tries to go first will go last." So yeah. He said, yeah, and then the vision come in. You all got to cross the finish line together holding hands. That's the way it's got to be.
Thank you, Father, for the equality. I love that.
Even
Okay,
though I
Linda has a
tried to leave
question.
a couple times, yeah, I got to stay. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, we're not done yet, Rick. Sorry.
Uh,
You gotta help. You gotta help out here. Linda has a question. What's the difference between Ascension symptoms and 5G effects?
5GFS.
Effects. AFFECTS. Like affecting 5G affecting effects.
You know, I'm seeing this 5G stuff out there. What I suggest, Linda, is to uh, ignore what you don't want to create something that you don't need to create by energizing the 5G networks and these sort of things. Where you're at
Oh
this
yeah.
level that you recognize ascension symptoms, it's much more efficient and beneficial for you to put your mentality perhaps towards that. But also, it's very important to use your individual guidance and discernment if you are pointed towards, let's say, some sort of an EMF projector, because there is knowledge and things to be learnt there. But for having any concern of its effects, once you recognize that you are ascending and that you can correct and heal every part of your body, then I would suggest to stay with your higher truths that can overpower any thought, any limiting thoughts of what a 5G can do, because there is timeline we are leaving behind that has the 5G. We will be above that, and I believe what you are currently seeing is I know what I began seeing in the last few days is I didn't look at it much, but what I'm seeing is that the 5G is not being accepted in a lot of areas. So,
Awesome. Thank you for that. Thanks
and
for
a
that
lot of
question, Linda.
scientific and medical work coming out, you know, in papers more or less denouncing it and, you know, safety concerns and what have you.
Cool. I have seen the 5G too. Oh, shoot. Heather had a question. Oh, Heather, I just had it.
Oh,
Oh, geez. Oh, Lord. Okay, let's see. It's all my hair. This feed goes fast. Like, as soon as I have it, it goes down again. So I'm so sorry.
yeah, well, I see the
Uh,
comments there, like it's just skyrocketing. So I know there's many questions or what have you. The number of them. Oh, hold it. I can go in
uh,
and do that. That's right. Let me try. Yeah, I can go in through that way.
Phyllis Stanford just arrived. All applies to Australia, etc. Question mark. Worry sometimes it's mainly U.S. Oh, so yeah.
Apply to Australia. Yeah, uncertain what she means by all applies. Let's say anything with the ascension is globally, it applies globally.
Okay. Oh, here, Heather, I have found that I am compelled to speak to people in elevators now, and they seem shocked. I do it even before I think about it, like I have an angel on my shoulder encouraging me. It's fun and leads of interesting conversation. Is this a sign of increased prowess? Thank you, Heather. Sorry, I had to read it really fast. I had to read it fast to get so it wouldn't jump.
Yeah, yeah. You know, the interaction with others, some are doing that. It's very important because you're also activating and triggering them higher. You're always doing 24/7 energetic work to some degree. Yeah, there is no randomness for anyone here with your daily lives as it was. You're working divinely 24/7.
Yes. Yeah, trying to get this job on going here. Okay, thank you for that, Annabelle. I have another question about weather and timing on global reset around the time of solar flare. They said it is so hot then. Would that be right?
Let me say that around times of solar flares, they are actually administrations of higher quotient light. That yes, you could associate that with the higher good things. So you can make an association with that, yes, but it does not mean that it does occur at that time. It just means that the atmosphere is more charged at those times to allow for it to happen. But yeah, so that's what I'll say to that.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for that. Kim, can someone create an Ascension dictionary? I don't know some of the abbreviations.
There are Ascension dictionaries out there. I would
Oh, I didn't know
say,
that.
yeah, just Google it. I know there is one out there, and I had referred to it one night. So just Google it or DuckDuckGo, that search engine, or whatever
Oh,
other search engine you may wish to use. DuckDuckGo is a more of a private one than Google for a search engine. Google, the thing with Google, what was occurring, it may be remedied, but with Google, what was occurring is that they were in cohorts with the mainstream media and all of what we call the fake news, like CNN, whatever Trump calls, and all of them guys, they were in cohorts, and anything that they could censor, they did, and they would put it, through your Google Analytics at making a subject appear at the top of the list. They would, if they left it there with a lot of these things, they would assure that it was devaluated to the bottom of the list, that you would have to dig to find it with some of this. So having said that, there may be things that are censored from Google that are the important truths, but I will say that divinity, nothing stops that Google must submit if it's to stay alive to divinity as well. But meanwhile, I would suggest maybe trying DuckDuckGo for a search engine or some other reputable alternative real news, I should say, or the alternative news sites with that as well.
Awesome, thank you. Daphne, do dimensional doorways appear different than portals?
There are seven variations, or several. Seven. At this time, there are seven variations of distortions in space. Seven meaning that some can appear on their own as anomalies, and also others can be activated through various methods. Let's say a portal. A portal does have different functions rather than just a doorway to another dimension. So a rift in time and space can be just a doorway into one time and one space, whereas a portal gives you access to many. So that is, if that was what your question was, the difference.
Yeah, well, it was a dimensional doorway. I lost it now. It's gone. But sorry.
Yeah.
Janelle, I felt a huge quantum leap this time last week. I felt this was specific soul groups. I feel this was specific soul groups, question mark.
Great, Janelle. We're trying to keep all the groups together as we keep going forward. But what does occur, as you're right, Janelle, there are some groups that are assigned to creating things, higher things on the higher timeline. So some can be advanced, and their divine tasking and purposes can be specialized in other areas. At times like this, when that occurs, it may appear like a separation, but there is no separation. It's just that they've been called aside to do and prepare some other things. So yes, this always occurs, and there are so many things that do occur with this ascension. And again, that's why we know that there is no separation, that and do not, for anyone, should not perceive it that way, and to know we are all working on the same time, but some do get called to different areas. Now, having said that, I'm very grateful, Janelle, for that information as well. Because when I see a specialized group or two going out to serve a certain intent or purpose or function, that is very indicative of forward advancement, which I always love. I don't wish to be stagnant.
Yes. Thank you for that. Thanks for that question. We do have one from Amelia, but Amelia, I'm trying to get there. I don't, it just went down. You might have to put it back up, Amelia. Oh, I don't know if you answered my question. I was.
I'm laughing at Wayne Millet's comment. He's watching God Friended Me. That's a show, apparently. I believe God friended this guy on Facebook or whatever, and they made a show about it. So,
oh, really? Oh my God, that's so funny.
Yeah, it's called God Friended, or God Friended Me, or God Befriended Me, or whatever. Yeah, I didn't watch it. I don't watch any TV, but I didn't know of it.
Oh my gosh, funny. Okay. Something about do dogs and animals? I don't know. I can't get to the question because it keeps bouncing. So, Amelia, I'm so sorry. I'm trying to get to your question.
Well, Linda, we gotta, gotta do. No, this is Be Live chat, so this is not Facebook. Yeah, we need to perhaps maybe get in touch with Be Live and just tell them they got to upgrade to handle this. We need a wider span or what have you.
Yeah. Well, if I could just see or like have it like somehow, I'll have to ask them about that, like how I can get to.
Just say currently what we're experiencing, that
I'll let Be Live
need
know
this
for sure.
remedied. There's just.
Yeah, sorry guys, I'm trying to get to the question, but as soon as I get there, if another question comes in, it just drops it right on down.
Yeah.
The weather timing on global reset around the. Oh, we already did that. The solar flare. Okay, we already talked about that. It was Annabelle's question. You already mentioned that one. What is a dimensional doorway? That's from Annabelle. Did you answer that one?
No, believe it. Well, dimensional doorway. Yeah, I believe we did answer that before. Dimensional doorway is more so, and to keep it simple, it's access to another dimension, whereas a portal is access to many dimensions. It would be best, it can be interchangeable, but it would be best, perhaps for simplicity's sake, to have a gauge of the difference, to look at it like that. But it's not limited to that, meaning that a dimensional doorway could be turned into a multi-dimensional doorway.
Oh, okay.
And there are stargates as well as portals, but they're all relatively the same sort of thing, but they do have the fundamentally they operate under the same dynamics, but there are differences to what they serve, their intents and purposes.
Okay. Interesting. I don't know who this person is. I'm trying to get there. I'm afraid if I go up, it'll put me out. But something, I'm looking at moving my sound healing business from a wellness center and went to interaction circles and include children's drumming sound circles where they learn about frequency and light healing, and teen empowerment sessions where they lead discussions to improve conditions in the world. Any ideas? Let's see who this is, if I can get there. Kim. Oh, I see yours, Amelia. Let me see if I can get to it.
Yeah, Kim, with that, again, you have the fundamentals and the basics, and you know where it needs to go. What I suggest at this time for any projects like that, to just don't hesitate on the intuition and keep building them and keep going forward. Don't question your guidance. If you do feel that you're compelled to initiate or establish something like this, continue forward, but also know that if you are leaving those timelines, that it can very easily be passed on to someone else. But it is important that at least you initiate it and build it. But that does not mean that you need to be attached to it. You need to retain your flexibility and your ability to detach very quickly. And that goes for anyone in this now. When I say your ability to detach, it's like I mentioned about the job analogy, earlier, that someone has a job, you might be there today, but hey, you can walk out at any time to walk on another higher timeline. So what you don't wish to be doing is also having preconceived notions that you need to work at a 9-to-5 job or a mundane job, because what many of you are doing for the several timelines that are setting up, and some are staying at other timelines for a while. What you are actually doing is creating your next stage of your reality, which may include for a year to be on a 5D1 or a 5D2 timeline, where you are going to run a healing center, or no, I just got a no on that. The healing centers won't be on there. No, okay. I got to retract what I just said. But nevertheless, just follow what you're given, but be able to detach from it.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe I'm done on that one. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Amelia, do animals, dogs also requiring to eat less as part of the ascension symptoms?
Some may, the ones that it's ascending. Pay attention when you look in your pet's eyes, if you can see the soul at the back of the retina. And if you see that milky white there, it's a good sign that, yes, they are ascending. With the dogs, another sign is between their ears on top of their head, if that area is raising up. That is an indication on the dogs that they are establishing higher consciousness and that they will ascend. So it is common, the same as with you, that their diets must change as well. And and what you will find is when an animal or a furry soul, what have you, or one of your companions, yeah, when they began to ascend as well, what they will do, they will change their eating habits, and it'll be very common that their favorite food If it's toxic, they'll begin to push that away because their inner knowing is also being established within them that if they're coming along with you, they need to rectify and purify themselves and they need to transition. And their diet is a very important part of their transition as well. And also, they're connected to you. So if you're a high consciousness, you're connecting with them on a higher level, and it's going to affect your furry comrade in higher level ways as well. And there comes the level too, or anyone should practice this now, regardless if their animal's ascending or not. What you should be doing is speaking to um, your divine comrades again instead of your animals. I'm reluctant to use that term because they are beautiful souls as well. But what you may wish to begin to do, and you can get your own confirmations of this, begin speaking to your animals the same as you speak to another person, and respect them and know that they also in this time have the ability to ascend, and the ability to ascend does include the higher consciousness within them as well. And it's not uncommon that you will begin to see them. You may have, a divine comrade dog that's 15 years old that, in the mundane world, they might have just considered it a mutt, a degrading name like that, which would a degrading, dumb, dumb animal. But what you may find when these animals are ascending, that they'll be able to perform tricks that they were never taught, and that they'll be just so very knowledgeable that they'll just amaze you. And it's also important that you give them that credence to do that, and that appreciation and that respect, because that too advances them forward. And you again, you will see your effects with that, and it's very amazing, and you will see it's true. So I suggest for anyone that has the uh, divine comrades such as the pets, yeah,
Yes.
interact with them on the same level you interact with anyone on, and have that
Yes.
respect and watch what happens.
Awesome. Thank you for that question, Amelia. And Ayla, I don't know if I pronounced your name correctly. I just learned I'm connected to Palladian elves as well as the elves that went into Gaia with all the fairy elves also working with us in the Ascension. She wants to know if the fairy elves are working with us in the Ascension.
Let's say that the elemental kingdom is very important to the ascension. There is assistance with it, and there is assistance with the ascension by the elemental kingdoms, and whatever you're given in regards to that, yes, follow it and follow through with it. Now, just stating that it is for I a little bit unique, but it is significant and important again, because what you will be seeing is there's many magical contributions.
I got transported. Oh my gosh.
Linda,
It just,
there you are. You went to another dimension.
I was in timelines, let me tell you.
Oh, where did you go? What did you see? Please share.
All white.
Oh wow, white light. Okay, I was left here.
No.
to I was left here with all the others.
Sorry, you guys. I was out of here. I was like, that's it. I'm gone.
Oh,
Oh,
but see,
I'm
you
sorry. I
weren't
don't know
left
what happened.
either.
Yes, I'm back. I don't know what happened. All of a sudden, my computer just went like disconnected me, and I came back, but then it shut me out again. So I think that's like saying, okay, we're done.
Okay.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
There is no more questions, but no, that was a great question because I'm sure a lot of people have questions on their animals. So
Yeah.
that wasn't the
So
last
yeah.
question, was it? See, I think I was gone. Seriously, I don't even know what the last question was. So I know I was gone. So
Yeah. Back with the
so no.
animals, it's important to give your animals good water, not tap water from the cities.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
You don't want chlorine and fluoride in their diets as well. And that is very important for your animals, the good water. That'll help them
Yes.
advance forward much quicker.
Awesome. Yes, I think the energy are low now. Yeah. Yeah, I think as well. Yeah, I think I don't see any more questions, but yeah, I think that we can. Do you have anything to share that you want to just like reiterate or say anything?
Um, no, but let's. Well, yeah, of course. Um,
Well, there is one
okay,
last question. Sorry. Do you want to answer this last question?
okay, then go ahead. Yes, yeah.
Oh, Jerry. I am very strong empath who is usually feeling crystals and the grids. I am doing. Oh, Jerry. Let me see if I can get to you. And I am doing earth healing, etc. late at night. I don't know what your question is. I am going to have this down for the next time we get done.
uh, yeah, okay. Was that Jerry? Yeah.
Yeah, Jerry Carroll.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, Jerry, keep following what you're doing, and what you're going to find is that you will receive more and more confirmations. The more you believe in it and exercise it, the stronger it's going to become. And just keep following your inner guidance at what to do with it is what I strongly suggest. Linda lost the real part of the question, and yeah, because her comments get buried very quickly. But yeah, carry on with it is what I'm given. Likewise with anyone, with your crystals, whatever you feel compelled to do, by all means do it, because it's energy work, and you are energy, and it's compatible with you, and it also it makes a difference outward because you are a creator, and it also deposits, in your out near your proximity, at least surroundings, you can charge it positive, and that's what you wish to do, and eliminate all negativity, because negativity is what keeps you here in the mundane. Fear is what keeps you in the mundane. So every bit of negativity and fear you're able to let go of, you rise a little bit higher.
I found the rest of her question.
Oh, did
She's
you?
been doing earth healing, etc. late. I haven't been feeling the work as I do as strongly. So I still think you answered that.
Hasn't been.
I am very strong. Who usually feels crystals and the grids. I am doing earth healing, etc. of late. I haven't been feeling the work the work I do as strongly. Question mark.
Okay, and with that, very quickly, if you're not feeling it as strongly, perhaps a lot of your work is done then, and with divinity, and this is the way it occurs. If you don't receive guidance or don't have a compulsion or an impulse to do something, you don't need to do it. And perhaps you could look at this as a very good indication that, yeah, you don't have to do it as extensively as before, because you have at least succeeded to the point in which you needed to succeed. So you accept it, and be open if you receive more guidance in effect to that in the future. That's what I suggest. Beautiful, and thank you for everyone that
Yeah.
does this energetic work. It does make a difference, and it is
Yes.
just so very real.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Awesome. Okay. And I know, so you were going to close with something. What were you going to say?
Oh, yeah. What I was going to say is that we are in. Uh, yeah, we're sitting on the edge of our seats, if you will, and just waiting to see what we do bring into fruition here. And mainly what I'm speaking about is the RV, bringing that right into this reality. But not only the RV, again, I'm anticipating at any time more of a concrete access to the QFS by perhaps some of you or some of us. And let me say with this, it is imminent. It is going to occur. Again, just not. I'm not given any scribbler dates on it. Just that it's going to occur. And again, I feel it's very close, and we are in the most exciting times yet with you could wake up in several hours there again and everything change. So I suggest for all the viewers, keep supporting these higher realities that we wish, because
Yeah.
you are creating them, you are bringing them into fruition, and you know that. So for every one of you that's able to master negativity and fear and let it go, and the higher we all rise together as a collective, and the quicker these more beautiful timelines come into fruition for us. But we
Yes.
don't need to stop there. We can just keep going forward, creating, because the further we get up, the stronger you get and the quicker you create as well. So it's
Mm.
so important to always keep going forward in all of your endeavors and your divine ventures. It's just absolutely important.
Yeah.
Mm,
Oh, awesome. That
mm,
was beautiful. Well, thank you, Rick. It's always so awesome. It's been a while. We've been doing a show, so I'm just excited to be back on here. And thank you so much for all the information and bringing yourself and what you're doing out there and helping all this. And we're all this together, but you're a big part of it too. So thank you.
mm. Well, yeah, thank you so much again, Linda. And it was fun to be back. Hey, we had quite an
I know.
evening, and
Yes.
I'm kind of alluding to, I believe, yeah, it may not be very long before we do another show. It could even perhaps be within
Awesome.
24 hours. We're just waiting and sitting, for some
Yeah.
concrete news is what, I wish before, then we want to say, okay, here, it's here. We are here.
Yes.
Here is the concrete news. Those are the moments I'm waiting for. Then, woo.
Yeah.
So that could happen at
Yeah.
any
Well,
time.
Well, I'm available, so we got definitely got to get that out there. So thank you so much, and thank you to everybody who joined. All your great questions. Thank you for tuning in. Everybody who will be tuning in afterwards. We love you. We thank you, and again, Rick, thank you. Greatly appreciate you. So, all right.
You're welcome so much. Thank you, Linda. And I love you, love and light. I love all of the viewers. And
Yeah.
have a great night. And yeah, peace and winks and kisses. Thank you all. And we'll see you sooner.
Yes. Yes. Hopefully, really soon. Next 24 hours. All right. Thanks, you guys. Love you, and thanks for tuning in. And we'll see you real soon. All right. Love you. Bye.